Today, modern AI is quite advanced, except two problems. It is censored and it takes your information. Well, it's hard to find a tech company that don't. But let me introduce you to one. Shout out to my sponsor, Venice AI, which allows you to protect your information and avoid censorship. Now ask yourself, why should a team of programmers at these leading AI apps be the ones to decide what is okay for you to ask and think? Also,
Let's
would
go.
you be comfortable if the presidential administration could govern what AI tells you? Man, I know I wouldn't. But also, while you think about that, did you know that? Let me tell you this, it's gonna be crazy, but ChatGPT has a former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now, guys. And shout out to that man, Edward Snowden. He called this a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. And we all know how Alexa is. Alexa listens to us and recommends products based on our conversations. I mean, talk about a violation of privacy. But guys, these are just a few reasons I decided to team up with Venice AI and get you a better options or solutions to your AI needs. Now, guys, you can go ahead and check these guys out with my promo code. So shout out to Venice AI. Now, if you want to use AI without fear of handing over your most intimate thoughts to a corporation or government, you can get 20% off a pro plan using my link, Venice AI SET, and use the code SET. Man, so shout out, guys. So make sure you guys use the code. Put it up one more time for you guys right there. Once again, guys, if you guys want to go ahead and have unleashed AI, uncensored AI, go ahead and tap in with my guys at Venice AI, guys. Hey, this is SET and appreciate the support. And shout out to the sponsor. And all right, guys, let's get it going. Yo, this is SET with SET Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you guys. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into Trump in Texas. But first, let's get to his gaggle in front of the press. Then we're going to get to the Texas run, well, to him in Texas. And then I got a surprise for you guys at the end. You know, if the likes are up and the viewer support's up, I got something for you guys. But all right, guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen like the video, and let's get right into it.
You're coming with us. How are you? And it's a horrible thing. Nobody can even believe it, such a thing. That much water that fast. Without a dam break, you'd think a dam would have to break to have it. So it's a terrible thing, but we're going to be there with some of the great families and others, the governor, everybody. It's going to be there. Maybe at some point I'll talk to him. Right now I'm not. They're treating President Bolsonaro very unfairly. He's a good man. You know, I know him well. I negotiated with him. He was a very tough negotiator, and I can tell you he was a very honest man, and he loved the people of Brazil. He was a very tough guy to negotiate with. I shouldn't like him because he was very tough in negotiation, but he was also very honest. And I know the honest ones, and I know the crooked ones. We're going to see. It was sent yesterday. They called. I think it was fairly well received. What we need. So we'll see what happens.
Russian drones hit a maternity hospital in Ukraine overnight. Your reaction?
I know. You'll be seeing things happen.
Now that you will go to Texas, are you planning on delivering any type of help?
Now, I have heard that Russia is about to start stepping up their support of Ukraine by offering them those, Patriot missiles and other, weapons as well. Well, not really weapons, but actually, no. I stand on that one. No, they're actually going to start giving these guys weapons while we supply them with their aerial defense.
For undocumented families, they love everything, including their children.
I think we've done very well on immigration. We were given a very bad hand by Biden. He allowed 25 million people to come in totally unchecked, unvetted. We're getting the criminals out, and we're getting them out fast. The courts have ultimately done the right thing. Amazingly, they've really done the right thing, and they understand it's really the survival of our country. It's a very important thing. We can't have like 11,888 murderers. And, something that you should have that you haven't recorded. As you know, 300,000 children are missing, right? 300,000 under Biden. We've already gotten back 10,000 of those children, and we have a lot more planned to come back. We're getting them back by the thousands, but 300,000, and we, as of this morning, over 10,000 we've gotten back.
I mean, that's a blessing to hear, because we did hear, like, at the beginning of this administration, that there are 300,000 children that's missing due to the flooding of the border. I mean, and we don't know where these kids are at. Now that we found at least 10,000 of them, I mean, well, at least we know that they're all on top of this. Now, speaking of kids, let's go ahead and get to these Epstein files, and let's see who was messing or transporting those children as well. Let's just get them across the board.
How do you send a letter to the EU?
What is your advice to countries worldwide ahead of the upcoming tariff deadline?
Oh, I think just keep working hard. We've been taken advantage of for many, many years by countries, both friend and foe. And frankly, the friends have been worse than the foes in many cases. So I would say just keep working. It's all going to work out. I think he's doing a terrible job. I think we should be, I think we should be 3 points lower.
And guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen and like the video. Appreciate the support, by the way. But yes, let's make sure we double tap that screen.
That's right. He's costing our country a lot of money. We should be number one, and we're not. And that's because of Jerome Powell. In terms of interest, we are number one in the world. Look, I'll tell you a little simple language. 1 year ago, our country was a dead country. We were going nowhere except down. We were the laughing stock all over the world. And now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're number one everywhere, anywhere in the world. And that's all they're talking about is our country. 1 year ago, it was a dead country. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Thank you.
And all right, now let's go ahead and get over to Trump in Texas. And it's kind of funny. It does seem like everybody's now wise enough to know not to ask Trump about those Epstein files, even if we do want to ask him. But honestly, if I was Trump, I would say, no, don't ask me. I'm going to go ahead and put Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and Cash Patel out in front of y'all. And y'all can just ask them all the questions you want. And they can't leave until everybody done got their questions off. Because, I mean, and that's how you just make it fair. Have them explain the BS they trying to feed us.
Obviously upset because they say that those warnings, those alerts didn't go out in time, and they also say that people could have been safe. What do you say to those families?
Well, I think everyone did an incredible job under the circumstances. This was, I guess Christie said, a 1 in 500, 1 in 1,000 years. And I just have admiration for the job that everybody did. There was just admiration. The only bad person would ask a question like that, to be honest with you. I don't know who you are, but only a very evil person would ask a question like that. I think this has been heroism. This has been incredible, really, the job you've all done. It's easy to sit back and say, oh, what could have happened here or there, maybe we could have done something differently. This was a thing that has never happened before, and nobody's ever seen anything. I've never seen anything like this. I've gone to some real bad ones. I've never seen anything like this. So I admire you, and I consider you heroes and heroine, and I think you've done an amazing job. Brian, go ahead, please.
If I could ask you, who was the first person to contact you to notify you that this tragedy was unfolding?
Probably Christie, but I was notified by a lot, and Chip called also. Chip was here for, he thought it was going to be a little flood. He was going to miss the signing for the big, beautiful bill, and he called to apologize. He said he's going to be delayed because of a little flood, and the little flood turned out to be the biggest flood anyone's ever seen. So Chip, but Christie called right away. She was there. I looked the next morning. She was right there on the ball. So
I just want to say, as a native Texan, I've received hundreds of messages. I told you that the other day, but I'm going to tell our representatives that are here in the crowd today, thank you for your response. This is Texas Strong. President Trump, this is America First policy in terms to responding to a tragedy like this. Thank you on behalf of Texas as well.
Thank you very much. Well, that's a nice reporter. That's a nice question. That's a nice. But
Well, a lot of people don't want to accept about this whole Texas situation is that everything that was done could have been done. Like, I do feel like, trust me, my heart hurts for those kids and their families. But let's be real, there's nothing else we could have done. Even they said, like, yo, we was expecting a mild flood. The fact that it turned into a heavy flood, they're saying that it's going up like a foot per hour or something like that. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Especially when you just forecast it as a small flood and then all of a sudden it overdoes it. It is what it is. And shout out Steph. She says my state set 9/11 or 9/11 outage, whole statewide, no joke. Really?
I like his statement even better. Thank you very much, Brian. That's very
You
nice.
can't call the cops? That's crazy.
Please go ahead.
Great to see you, President Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you, First Lady Melania, for being here. I'm born and raised in Texas, and there's not a person in our state who hasn't been impacted by this tragedy. But what's been so disheartening recently are these ghouls on the left, like Jasmine Crockett and the left-wing media, who want to point fingers and play partisan games and fundraise off of this crisis. And what I love about Texas is we come together in a crisis across party lines, ideological lines. So what is your message, and maybe Governor Abbott as well, to these folks on the left who are using this to gain partisan points in violence?
Yeah, I mean, it's sick. It's honestly sick. It's like, so kids are dying. You want to try to make a point like, oh, well, it's because of Trump and Elon. When the National Weather Service was double staffed, they gave out the warnings, but not even them. Even they said, look, we did everything we could. We couldn't predict that it was going to overly flood in Texas. Like, we had no idea. So when the National Weather Service tells you that, and you guys are pretty much saying that, oh, well, because of these Doge cuts and everything, no, you can't blame this on Trump. This is just a natural disaster that happened. And it is sad that human life was lost, but the fact that you're trying to make it a political point is sick.
Viral videos.
Well, I'll start off by just saying, they've lost their confidence. They've had a tremendous run of bad talent. I don't say bad luck, I say bad talent. And all they want to do is criticize. And I hope we can someday be bipartisan, but all they like to do is criticize. And this way, they're getting just absolutely clobbered because everyone sees what an incredible job the governor did. Everybody in this room, everybody at this table in particular, but everybody in this room did an incredible job. And the public knows it. The public's wise to it. They have their soundbite. They send out a soundbite, and it's supposed to be, you're supposed to say that. And if you don't say that, they throw you out of the party. No, they've lost. Honestly, they've lost their confidence. I see some of the people they're putting forward, and those people will only ruin our nation. Our nation, a year ago, was dead, and it was going down, but it was dead. And now we have the most successful nation anywhere in the world. You take a look. I was with the King of Saudi Arabia. I was with the leaders of the world recently at NATO. Every one of them said the same thing. They said, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Your nation was dead 1 year ago. And now you have the hottest nation. It's the hottest nation, hottest in quotes. It's the hottest nation anywhere in the world. Every leader is saying that we're the hottest nation in the world. We've all gotten together. We've done a great job. This state has been unbelievable. I work so well with the governor and with your senators and with everybody in this state. We get it done. We've had some pretty big problems here with the floods and all the different things that we've worked out, and we respond very quickly, and they respond very quickly, and they spend their money wisely. We give.
Here's the thing, I know there's a lot of people want to compare this to the California fires. Well, oh, you guys were making fun of liberals. No, we weren't. We were pretty much shit talking your governor and the mayor. So yes, Mayor Bassett, Governor Newsom, those who we were making fun of. We were not making fun of those poor victims who are losing their homes in California. That's a lie. That's a lie. And y'all know it. But we were having crazy criticism. I mean, real with you. Now, the criticism did get salacious of Karen Bass, and Governor Newsom. Like, what did you think? There was plenty of opportunity for this man to fix that problem, and he didn't do it. Karen Bass, she was, well, once again, for some reason, when things go down in her state, she's on vacation. Well, I'm sorry, in her city, she's on vacation.
A lot of money, but they spend it wisely. I can't say that's true always. Sometimes we give money and they don't spend it so wisely. They spend it very, very foolishly. So, Governor, do you want to say a few words?
Sure. One thing that you pointed out that we all know about Texans is part of our bloodstream, and that is we're Texas tough. were made for challenges. I read a piece the other day. I'll just quote one line from, and that is, when the rivers rise, so do we, and we rise to the occasion. And the way that we do that is by everybody working together. We are one team united. We are Texans, and fighting as Texans, we're going to rebuild not just Kerrville or Hunt or Kerr County, but across the entire state, across regions. We're going to come together and fight together and ensure that we elevate even better, keeping foremost in mind exactly what Dr. Phil was talking about. As we rebuild, we've got to constantly comfort the families of those who have suffered a loss. Those two things combined, and we will be our quintessential selves, and that is Texas tough, Texas resilient.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. President, first
the
of all,
blue shirt.
thank you for
No, right over here. Go ahead.
I'll wait for Chip. He's my representative. I'll wait for him.
Mr. President, if I could just jump in and just say one thing,
Yep.
which is
And all right, guys. So let's see. What was it? A meso scale. Let's see. Convergent vortex remnants. Okay, so pretty much it was a remnants of a tropical storm. Storm Barry dumped about 20 inches of rain in just a few hours on July the 4th through the 7th across the Hill County, especially along the Gulab River, however you guys pronounce that. The river surged dramatically. Now, the river rose over 30 feet, 30 feet in about 45 minutes. Yeah, okay. Well, but then again, that's Trump's fault somehow, guys. So Trump controlled the clouds, right, guys? He controls storms with his magical, like, executive powers. Like, please explain it to me, guys, how this is his fault.
I can't thank you enough. When I called you on Friday, you said whatever you need. When I called the secretary's office, she called me within 15 minutes and said whatever you need. And then she came here this weekend. I've never seen such a quick response and such a focus on delivering for the people. But importantly, I want to thank all of my colleagues in the House sitting right over there. Every single one of them called me personally. Every single one of them reached out to this team that the governor was just talking about, the team effort to deliver for the people of Texas. They're here now, not here to microphone. They're here just to be here because they believe in this state and they believe in what you're doing as the president and they believe in what the governor is doing. And importantly, this morning, I was at a press conference for the Community Foundation of the Hill Country, which has raised over $30 million from the great, people of this state and from around the country. And they sent checks out today of $5 million to people in this community to help them with cash for people, for small businesses, first responders, and all the people that need help to reunite. And the final point I'll just say, for all of the media clamoring to ask that ridiculous first question and try to point fingers, the governor said it best when he said that pointing fingers is for losers. This state is about looking forward, and we'll figure out how to make our systems the best they can be. But importantly, when you see 26 feet of water rising a foot per minute, don't go around pointing fingers. The people in this community rallied around to help people, and that's the enduring image. Those little girls from Camp Mystic who were singing hymns as they watched the damage as they left that camp coming out of there. And that's who the people of Texas are. And I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And, 2 words, unity and competence. If you were to ask me 2 words that I've seen here, one is unity. The unity has been unbelievable. And then the competence of the Coast Guard and some of the people within the Coast Guard that saved a lot of lives. They went out and they saved a lot of lives, but there were others other than the Coast Guard. But I would say competence and unity, the way everyone has just pulled together. It's rare that you see this.
Mr. President.
Again, I've been to so many and I've seen bickering and fighting and just.
And here's the thing, though, like people are going like, well, what about the people who didn't get the alerts, the delayed alerts? I'm like, well, during a storm, guys, that does mess with cellular reception. So it's kind of crazy how you're so quick to just try to blame Trump and Elon when you're just not going to use common sense and understand that, during these storms, a tower can go out, right? And we're talking about it's a heavy rain, heavy storm, enough to raise a river 30 feet in 45 minutes. Do you think the service is going to be, quick, fast, speedy, like the ones that aren't receiving that much rain? Like, really, come on now. Really, you put on your common sense hat. Come on, guys. Let's be real. Put your thinking cap on.
It worked the same way. This has been amazing. This is the biggest because I've never seen one like this. Neither has anybody else, by the way. Yes, please.
Hey, it's
Yes.
Oh, no. And here's the thing, though. Texas actually shows records of the weather alerts sent out, and they were sent out. So, yes, weather alerts were issued. but critical local emergency warnings failed to reach in many times, which means they were trying to send it, but due to the storm hitting, they didn't get through a good amount of time. They didn't get through. And I'm pretty sure if you've been through a crazy storm and the electric goes out or it hits a tower, well, what's going to happen to that cell phone service? Exactly. But I mean, hey, you can blame Trump if you want to. You just sound crazy. That's all.
Mr. President, it's been a while since we've seen each other. Obviously, the staffing was where it needed to be. In fact, it was heavier than it should have been because of the holiday weekend. Whatever they're saying in the left news isn't the truth. You're a developer, though. At 1 o'clock.
And here's the thing. The National Weather Service issued the initial flood watch on July 3rd. It was a flood watch on July 3rd. So you cannot even say that, oh, there was no warning sent out. There was a warning sent out the day before. That's why y'all sound ridiculous.
In the morning, the technology only goes as far as it goes. Kids don't have their phones. Phones are dead. People by the riverside don't have electricity. They're not going to get a phone alert that way. As a developer, going forward, knowing that everything was done lightning fast by Secretary Noem, by you, by the governor, and everybody else, you did everything right. What do we do next time, though, to make sure that people are alerted if they're dead asleep? Maybe an alarm system, maybe a siren system. You might know better than I. But what do we do going forward? Because we've got to make sure that people get the alert when it's time to get the alert. Thank you.
You'll probably have to do that. You'll probably come up with something very unique because there is no system right now. There's been a thing like this has never happened that anybody knows. Certainly not to this extent, but I know the governor and everybody is working on it. They're meeting and they'll figure something out. Go ahead, Governor.
Yeah, so we begin a session in 10 days. We will address every single question that you just asked. You mentioned some of the ideas. There are many more. And we want to hear, most importantly, we have to devise a response that's right for this community. And this community has to weigh in, and they need time to be able to.
And it's messed up because not only the National Weather Service, bro, they also use the integrated public alert and warning system to broadcast these alerts to cell phones across the region. But like I said, due to the storm, some of these messages didn't reach. And let's be real, these guys got a warning beforehand, but they weren't told how severe the flood was going to be. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew that there was going to be a storm coming through, dropping 30 feet of rain. I mean, they just did not know. That's why it's called a natural disaster. It happens.
Convey that to us. But we're gonna work on alerts. We're gonna work on every single solution to make sure things like this don't happen again, not just in this community, but in other river basins across the state also. So we will work to get it right. And we've jotted down, Joe, every idea that you just mentioned.
Ted Cruz, go ahead, please, Ted.
Well, Mr. President, I want to say thank you for being here. First Lady, thank you for being here. Where we are right now, the Hill Country, is a very special part of the state. It is universally considered the most beautiful part of the state. You've got rolling hills. You've got these incredible, peaceful, wonderful rivers. The Guadalupe River, just about all of us have been swimming in that river, floating in that river. And one of the things that's really special about Kirk County is there are 40 summer camps here. This is a place where all across Texas our kids go. The governor's daughter came every year to camp here. Both of you know our girls really well. Heidi, the week before this flood, was here in Hunt picking up our daughter Catherine from camp. And Camp Mystic, that faced such devastating loss, is an institution in this state. It's 100 years old.
And then here's the thing, guys. If you want to blame anybody, I would blame the Kirk County officials. Because one, they did not activate the, what was it called? The Integrated Public Alert and Warning System. They didn't activate it during the critical morning hours of July 4th, though they were authorized to do so. Instead, they relied on code red and opt-in system limited to residents already signed up. So if anybody was to be blamed, it's the Kirk County officials who pretty much, instead of authorizing the use of the integrated public alert and warning system, instead of using that, they relied on this code red system that people had to literally opt into. Like, you pretty much have to go on the website, opt into it, and then there you go. You're going to get those messages. Like, that's on them. That has nothing to do with Trump.
Was founded in 1926. And I'll tell you, in Texas, it's not just here that the hurt is felt. It's every part of the state: Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, West Texas, East Texas. Texans have gone, and what's amazing is you see at the closing ceremonies of these camps, you see multiple generations. You'll see grandmothers and moms and little girls who have all gone to the same camp. And the pain that the state is feeling. And on Monday, I went and walked through Camp Mystic. In the center of the camp is a cabin called the Bubble Inn, where the littlest girls were staying. And in front of the Bubble Inn are right now 17 small white crosses in the ground. And each cross has the name of another little girl who lost her life. And the final cross has the name of Dick Eastland, the camp director who gave his life trying to save his girls. And the water rose in that camp and in that cabin 8 feet high. You can see the water line 8 feet high. It blew the windows out of the cabin and it swept.
And like I said, here's the thing. It is bad because it is the local officials in Curd County. So, but yes, meteorologists and federal agencies saw the flood coming, but local officials underestimated the threat and failed to act decisively. Like I said, if you want to blame anybody, you got to blame the Curd County officials. This had nothing to do with Donald Trump, and this has everything to do with the locals. And one, I mean, why didn't they use a public system instead of a local one that you have to opt into? And why didn't they take the meteorologists and federal agencies at their word instead of just underestimating it?
Those girls out. I will tell you, I've never seen anything more horrible in my life. And I just sat there crying. I saw mom and dad come up to one of those crosses, drop to their knees and kiss that cross. And the mom was weeping. Yeah. I also want to tell you, and you said this, you talked about unity. The way this community, the way the state is coming together is incredible. There are stories of heroism. I met a mom and dad who had a 14-year-old boy at Camp La Junta, a boys' camp. Their 14-year-old son was awakened at 3 in the morning. The water was rising. The counselor said, let's go save the little boys. And they went down to the 7, 8, 9-year-old boys and pulled them out of their camps through the crashing water. And this mom and dad were crying. Now their son survived. And I said, look, your son will always have this trauma. You will always have this trauma. But at the same time, your son will always know when he was 14 years old that there are little boys.
And guys, let's remember to double tap the screen and like the video. Appreciate the support, by the way. But let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. All right, let's keep it going.
And one day there are men who are alive because he had the courage as a 14-year-old to risk his life to save them.
There is no blaming.
And so we are grateful you're here. And I will say something Chip referenced.
And guys, let's not blame no side. I don't even care. I don't care. There is nobody to blame. This is a natural disaster. It happens. The fact that the left try to use this as a point to try to attack Trump on is sick. And I mean, like, this was a perfect time to kumbaya over, well, a very sad moment. Like, we should both be able to sit here and mourn these people and be like, look, let's not point fingers. And let's be real, this happened locally. When people like Jasmine Crockett want to set flames and be like, oh, this is all Trump's fault and Elon and the cuts, that's a problem. That's like, y'all need to sit that one down low key and be like, look, it ain't the time to sit here and say this type of stuff, especially when it's unfounded. And then if they come back at you, you're going to sound really stupid. You're going to make the left sound like they kind of want the right to die. But too late, there's already been TikToks made saying that, oh, they deserved it. They're a white-only city. Who cares? And y'all already making videos like that. I'm not talking about all the left, but you might want to check TikTok.
Is very true. There's a video of a school bus full of campers from Mystic after this crisis, riding past the devastation, and they are singing Christian hymns. And I promise you, there's not a person here who can watch that video and not weep. Tears of sorrow, but also tears of joy. So we are grateful for the response, Governor, the first responders, everyone who's come together, and to all the moms and dads, just know we love you. The agony, my street at home, every house has a green ribbon around it for the girls at Mystic. And that's true in a lot of streets all throughout Texas. And we will come through this one way or the other. And I'll tell you, the Hunt store right now, the sign says Hunt store, except today it doesn't. It says Hunt Strong. They redid the sign. That's the spirit of who we are.
Thank you, Ted, very much. Well, yes, please.
I wanted to respond just to something that Joe Pag said and the governor. The speaker and I announced yesterday that we will begin our hearings in 2 weeks, but in 3 weeks, we're going to have a hearing in this room so that the residents and the people in this area don't have to come to Austin. We're going to come to them, and we'll stay here as long as it takes to hear their stories and their needs.
And guys, let's go ahead and break down why this isn't Trump's fault. Because what Trump is not directly responsible for is, well, if the local emergency system that Kerr County was using, like Code Red, that's on them. Trump is not responsible. It's like he does not control local emergency decisions, like Kerr County's failure to activate their federal system to alert their citizens. And I mean, the weather events itself, I mean, like I said, unless you consider this man like, I don't know, freaking Poseidon or something, he can just rule the sea and the clouds or whatever, then no, he can't control the weather. But if you want to sit here and talk about, oh, well, cuts to Doge and all that wild stuff, I mean, that's just speculation. And there, you can't prove that. There's no facts linking it to it. But this is all the blame on the locals, and we just need to honestly hone in on the locals. Let's try to help out. Any GoFundMes that come up, we should donate to that. But sitting here trying to place blame on Trump is just, I mean, the pinnacle of Trump derangement syndrome.
And their wants. So we're going to be here in 3 weeks in this room.
Good, Dan. Very good. Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming together, and the word unity again, but I just want to thank you very much. And we'll be helping you from Washington, D.C., like no other president would do. Nobody else would do it. Nobody else would be even get back to you. You know, you're fully funded, as you know. And Christy, I would say they were fully funded within minutes of hearing about this. And, you know, the state of Texas, number one, they do it right, and they've done it right for a long time. And it's, you know, a very special place to me. I will tell you that. Politically, I don't want to say politics, but politically, it's been a very special place to me. Our great Secretary of Agriculture, who you've done such a great job, Brooke Rollins, you come from Texas, and I just want to thank you. She even got the cost of eggs right down. You know, they hit me with that one, and she got them down so quickly, nobody knew what. By Easter, everybody was having eggs at a lower price than they ever thought possible. But you've done a fantastic job. But it's just been it's been a very special state to me, and it's my honor. And we will continue to work together. And it's a bad situation, and you can never say, oh, it's going to be bigger, better, stronger. It's just so many lives have been lost. You can't say that, but we're going to make it. We're going to make it back. We're going to make it back, and we're going to make it good again. And everybody wants to do it. And I just want to thank you, and I want to congratulate you. You guys have been unbelievable. Thank you for your words before. It was unbelievable. The job you've done, Kim, everybody, every single one of you. So you should be very proud, and we're very proud of you. Thank you all very much for doing such a good job. Thank you.
And I mean, yeah, shout out to them. I mean, Trump did also bring in the National Guard and enacted FEMA and all that good stuff. So he already did everything on his part. I mean, the only thing else this man could do is pretty much try to have them have better flood policies, and so they can have more preventative measures. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do, lesson learned. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get into this TPUSA with Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly, as Megyn Kelly pretty much goes off on Pam Bondi and demands that she resigns. Let's get into it.
So, Megyn, you're here on a slow news day.
Nothing's going on. Has anyone been on X in the past hour?
They're happy. That's why they haven't been on social media.
We'll update you.
Why don't you update them, Megyn?
Well, this is the first big scandal, I'd say, of the Trump administration that's on Team Rational. It's not a fake media scandal like the left tries to create for President Trump every other day. It's one of the right's own making, and it's not going well. And it has to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Let me just ask you, make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
You should.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
Everybody cares.
A lot. I said a lot. Every hand.
Here's what I think is happening. I don't think President Trump is focused on this. He's focused on a lot of other things which are going great, and he needs to be focused on those other things. Jeffrey Epstein's not the most important thing on his agenda by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, he's crushing it on the tariffs, foreign policy, just got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. If not Trump, then who? Honestly. Barack Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize after 9 months in office. He had done nothing. He gave a nice speech about Muslims and they gave it to him. So President Trump should be getting the Nobel Peace Prize, and there's all sorts of things he's focused on. I just don't think this has captured his attention quite yet. But it needs to, because it's starting to create a real hornet's nest within the administration. And I've got to be honest, I blame Pam Bondi. I'll tell you why, okay? I have nothing, yes, incompetence, yes. I have nothing against Pam Bondi as a human being. I was fine with her nomination and her confirmation, and she's been loyal to the president. And I get that President Trump needs a loyal attorney general. Look what happened with Sessions the first time. He went away, and then the next thing you know, we had the Mueller investigation, and it was a nightmare. But there are a lot of other people who can be loyal and competent in that job. Here, she is the reason that things are unraveling around this story right now that virtually all of the Republican Party cares deeply about. It's also true that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel had questions about Epstein before they took office, okay, before they went into the FBI. But once they joined the FBI, they said nothing. They've kept their mouths shut about Epstein. You have not seen them, except for one joint appearance with Dan and Kash on Fox, running all over the media looking for attention on this, yes, clickbaity story. Who have you seen? Pam Bondi. She has never missed an opportunity to go on television and dangle sweet nothings that might be coming your way. Try to lead you to believe that she's got it. It's on her desk. It's coming tomorrow. You're going to see something on Epstein. And it was a tease. So you either believe that Pam Bondi was telling the truth then, or that she's telling the truth now, but both cannot be true. She
did basically try to clean it up oh so nicely. She's like, whoa, I wasn't talking about the Epstein client list. I mean, there was a file with the name Epstein client list, but it actually turned out to be a whole lot of nothing. That's really what she was trying to say during that meeting with Trump, or during the cabinet meeting with Trump, is that, well, you guys misheard me, or you guys took what I said too literally. The Epstein list wasn't on my disk at all. It was actually a file saying the Epstein list. I'm like, all right, okay. Lie to me again. All right, guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen and like the video, guys. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, you can go ahead and send in $2 and up. I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Appreciate the support, guys. Or if you have a poll that you want to ask, in the chat.
Was either lying when she went on Fox News all those times saying, I've got it, we're looking at it, wait until you see it, it's horrible. Or she's lying in her 2-page memo that they released on a Sunday night at the tail end of a holiday weekend to Axios, as if Axios is where we all go for our news. Hell no. She went to someone she knew would not kick the tires on the story, and without signing the memo, dropped it in the dead of night and said, that's it, take the crumbs and be happy. Refused to come out and give a and give a press conference, stand there for 6 hours, to the point where people are dying of boredom. They've asked all their questions. That's how you put a scandal to rest. But she wouldn't even sign her name to it. And I'm telling you, I have dollars to donuts. It's going to come out that there was internal consternation over that memo, and whose name did and did not go on it, and who it was and was not behind it. And so now you have a situation where her words on the record on Fox News are diametrically opposed to what she put in this memo. She's embarrassed the president. She's embarrassed herself. And Dan and Kash, to the extent they've had to sign off on that, let's understand the FBI is controlled by the DOJ. FBI is subservient to DOJ. She's their boss. That they're in this position where the only comments they've made on the record as administration officials have been, we don't think he killed himself, and we don't think he got murdered. We think he did kill himself. We've looked at the tapes, and Kash to Joe Rogan saying, if I saw all these tapes of Jeffrey Epstein with little girls, trust me, I would show you, but I haven't seen it. Okay, so what they're saying now is consistent with what they've said since they joined the office, and that is one of the many reasons why this scandal is squarely on her. And I'm telling you, I'm of the cable news universe. I've seen it happen a million times. People get thirsty. They love to see themselves on television. They love to see their names in the Klieg lights. They love the attention. They love the little emails and texts and tweets and thumbs up they get after their appearance, and they can feel their star rising. And listen, internally, I'm told there's a bit of like a power struggle between Pam Bondi and another female administration official on who's going to be the top dog. You know, we've got a great bench behind President Trump. We've got JD, we've got Marco, you know, we've got Hegseth. We've got a lot of people who could potentially be next up. But there are some women who've got their eye on that role too. And I've been
Maybe
told
one of
she's
them speaking at this event.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
I'm too happy a person.
No, I know. I was talking about someone tomorrow, so that might be speaking at this.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Okay.
but Megan, you make a very astute point, and let me add to it, which is that she also brought in some of our best influencers, people that I care about deeply. Jack Posobiec, who's incredible, Libs of TikTok, Chaya, DC Drano.
Yeah.
And she gave them these binders, and she humiliated them.
Yeah.
And you guys know what I'm talking about? Where she like did this stuff with
You
the
remember this?
binders? And
Yes.
you guys were upset, but you shouldn't be upset, the influencers. They were handed these binders like there was something incredible in them.
It is what you would do to an enemy. It would have been a brilliant operation had she loathed them and been looking to undermine them. The trick would have been perfect had this been Joe Biden's White House doing this to some of President Trump's most loyal supporters and media advocates. What happened was they invited all of them there to say hi to the vice president, to say hi to the president. Sure, they all went, of course. Who wouldn't go to the White House to say hello to Trump? They didn't expect anything on Epstein. So they went, they said hello, and before they knew it, they were pulled into a room with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, and she had made the binders. She bragged about making the cover sheet that read Epstein Files, Phase 1. And she handed them out. And what Liz Wheeler, who was there, told me was that she told them, there's not that much in here, but like another trove is coming. I'm going to get it from the FBI, but like, here's Phase 1. Flash forward.
Which was, a terrible release because it was redacted all over the place. And let's be real, that Phase 1 Epstein files, well, we knew more. The public opinion knew way more about Epstein than what that Phase 1 file was willing to let on. And here's the thing. It's not like it didn't know anything. It's just that, the redacted parts, the heavily redacted parts would kind of piss a lot of people off because like, whoa, why give us this if you have pages of just redacted, like the black lines, the famous black lines of secrecy. 14
hours earlier to when she was on with Jesse Waters on Fox News saying, oh, you're going to see some Epstein documents tomorrow. She knew they were bullshit. She knew that there was nothing in there. She told the influencers when she gave it to them, there's really nothing in here. I'm going to try to get you more. And in the meantime, then they funneled them out the back of the White House where all the press corps was. And the influencers are standing there with these binders. They didn't even know they were there for Epstein, and they looked foolish through no fault of their own. The only fault was they trusted her.
And these are some of our best people that we should have their back. Liz Wheeler's amazing, Jack Posobiec.
Yes.
And
she dinged their credibility for no reason.
100%. And did they ever get an apology for that?
No. And the only way of making it up, trust me, as somebody in the media who relies on sources, the only way she could have made up for this enormous error. And truly, to this day, if you believe she knew there was nothing in there, then I don't know why she did it. She just did it to make them look like fools for fun of it. But the only way she could have made up for it was to give them a scoop. That's the only way of fixing it. When you have the scoop, when you do get the second tranche, you've got to leak something to them. You've got to let them break something. She never did, but she continued to tout that she had something. She was going to get that FBI file.
And the worst assumption that Pam Bondi knew, the worst assumption that Pam Bondi kind of did with this whole Epstein file drop was that she assumed that, well, she knew more than us. She assumed that she knew more than the American people about Epstein when there's been whole types of investigative journalists on this topic, all like from everywhere. Even from around the world, not just American investigative journalists, but investigative journalists around the world have been trying to track this man Epstein down. Like witness testimony. Trust me, we had a lot of evidence, or we had a lot of, I would say, information already. And I don't think Pam Bondi knew that. That's the only reason why she was able to give out this Phase 1 BS Epstein files and didn't think that it was going to satisfy anybody.
Then she got caught by James O'Keefe on hidden camera saying she had tens of thousands of videos of Epstein and little children. It was like, what? Well, we never heard that. We heard he was into the barely legal type, the like 18-year-olds who look 14, but we didn't hear about children. And then because she was caught once again, shooting off her mouth inappropriately. Attorneys General of the United States normally say nothing. They say nothing.
Merrick Garland had one press conference a year.
Yes, nothing. Bill Barr, you can get him to speak or say anything. Even Eric Holder was less chatty than this. So she got caught on camera and she decided to cover up the James O'Keefe slip by then running to a real camera and being like, there are tens of thousands of videos of the children and I'm announcing it all.
Yeah, because James O'Keefe caught Pam Bondi in a diner, pretty much telling some lady, they said it was like a maid, about, you know, the thousands of videos of pretty much, well, child pornography. Yeah. Like she just said that to somebody in a diner, and then James O'Keefe caught that, sent it to her, and you know what this lady does? Come out next day and says, oh yeah, we got, you know, all that child, you know, pornography. So I'm not even gonna lie, Pam Bondi is already sus from that. Just off that alone, I low-key stopped trusting her. Just off that.
So once again, she didn't give that to the influencers, and then she slides it into this memo.
So I have a dumb question.
Hey, and shout out to my man Kip Lewis. He says, thank you for the content you are putting out. Hey, I appreciate that, guys. Hey, guys, if we can go ahead and get to 100 in super chats, I'll go ahead and I'll pull up that Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens interview. Why not? Because it actually was pretty interesting. I'll give you that. And Nick Fuentes definitely got at Candace's neck at the end of it.
Maybe it's not dumb. So it's so she had doubled down on the videos. Is that correct, Megan?
Yes, now she's tripled down.
Epstein was not the perp in every one of those videos.
So because they've been so ambiguous,
no, but like,
we're
let's
not
just
sure.
think about this. Unless we're led to believe that Epstein himself personally raped all these kids, children, or whatever, then isn't the statute of limitations on child rape like basically infinite?
Well,
so then why are we not indicting the people that were doing the raping that we have on video? Like, what's that all about?
Yeah.
No, you know this better than I do. So Epstein's dead. He's met his hopefully eternal fire where he deserves in the pit of hell. But if it's true, the Attorney General of the United States said, just remind me, we have thousands of videos.
She said that we've got thousands of videos showing child pornography.
And she doubled down on that. So
tripled.
So you have
but notice how she just said that alone. She never said who was in the videos or anything. Like, and then she pretty much tried to like flip it as, okay, well, let's be real. She kind of covered her ass by saying, oh, like, we don't know if she didn't say Epstein was in them. She didn't say people was in them. She just said child pornography. And child pornography could be like anything from a video to a picture. So we don't, let's be real. Or just, I mean, I don't even want to get into that one, to be quite honest with you. But you guys will get where I'm going with this. So pretty much he just had the, whole lot of terabytes, about hella terabytes of just pictures of kids. And that's all y'all pulled from his house. That's it. I mean, I don't want to see it, but God damn it, I need somebody to fact check that, because I doubt it. I highly doubt it. You put out all those videos and there weren't nobody on there. Just, children, really? Okay.
To infer Jeffrey Epstein was not the only person involved in that.
Well, no, let me tell you what I've gleaned, but since she's been so ambiguous, take it with a grain of salt. Okay. She won't have a presser. She won't give an interview. She won't answer any hard questions. All we get is the unsigned paper memo, 2 pages to Axios, who won't ask any questions. So what I think she's saying is that she's found, allegedly, tens of thousands of screen grabs of child pornography. They call it child sexual abuse material now. It's C-SCAN. Okay. And that's what she says they found on his hard drives, like he was into this form of porn, like off the internet. But separately, they say he had at least 1,000 victims of his.
No, okay, so but 1,000 victims, unless we are to believe he personally was after every one of those victims, there has to be some other bad guys still alive that are powerful that did something to these children. Why are we not impaneling a special prosecutor to find every single one of these powerful people that went after these kids? Like, what? Why are we putting up with this?
Yeah.
People are also saying, why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail? Well, because she actually got charged for human trafficking. Not like, there's the world web of child pedophilia that's, been put on Epstein, or that's the claim or narrative about Epstein. No, she got caught trafficking 5 children to Epstein, which is, 5 counts of trafficking. But the way they're framing it, and the way I've heard my people frame it, is that, well, just because she got charged human trafficking doesn't essentially mean that, oh, well, Epstein was out here trafficking children to billionaires. Glenn Maxwell might have just been the groomer, and that's it. And she was just setting it. And Epstein was just a buyer, guys. That's all it was. And that seems to be how they're sweeping it up.
I don't know. And I think you'll find out.
Am I understanding this correctly? Because I don't even remember.
I can't answer that.
I don't
she
even know
won't tell
Pam
us.
Bondi said that. I can't even remember all this because it's all over. I got a thing on my desk. I got truckloads of stuff.
Yeah, no, we all have busy lives, and President Trump has a busy life, and I don't think he realizes how much she's humiliated the administration. This is a self-inflicted wound. She caused it. Again, I have nothing against Pam Bondi, but if you want to look for the villain in this story, we have found her. She is the person who's she's either lying now or she was lying then. There's no two ways about it. And if you accept what's in the memo, that they don't have the goods on anybody, there's no one who can be indicted, they didn't find a trove of info on other people, then why was she trying to titillate us over a child sexual abuse case for months? She was on the air repeatedly in February, in March, again in May. It's completely inappropriate. You don't play cutesy with child sexual abuse material.
So Megan, I don't mean to interrupt. I mean, first of all, you're totally right, but you know the media, you've been around the space of like hyper ambitious women. What is this? Analyze her for us.
Well, I think she wants to make a name for herself. What she really wants to be is a star.
Nah, Megyn Kelly had this one girl on there, and she pretty much tried to call Pam Bondi a pick-me. She's a loyalist to Trump, but she don't really know what she's doing. She's not all that impressive, but, Trump keep her around because she's loyal. It is what it is. But now, everybody, even on MAGA, even me, I would like her to resign as well. Let's get somebody else in there.
That's what I think she wants. That's why she runs to the cameras on Fox News. There's no other reason. Look back at the attorneys general. Seriously, do you ever remember knowing an attorney general like this? Or like even having the attorney general's voice in your head? I can barely remember Merrick Garland's weird little nasally voice, but it's in there. But the average person couldn't pick him out of a lineup because normally attorneys general are somber, serious people who are fairly annoying, but they're schooled in the law. Pam Bondi has one trait, and I think it's why Trump chose her. She's loyal to the president. And I get it, he does need somebody loyal, especially in that position. But he has a wealth of other options.
Well, I think Judge Jeanine is amazing. Do we like Judge Jeanine? Everything I like Judge Jeanine.
Judge Jeanine would be brilliant. Harmeet Dillon would be brilliant.
So you're calling for Pam Bondi to resign or to go. But can you please tell people the breaking news? According to reports that you have verified, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino will resign if what does not happen?
If she doesn't go.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. That Dan Bongino pretty much stormed out of the office. He said, nah, but y'all got me effed up. I'm taking the day off. Kash Patel pretty much watched him stormed off, and he was like, you know what? I think I might be joining him if you don't resign. And it makes sense because, like I said, that's their boss. That's pretty much the people that they give their information to, and she's supposed to let the people know. If these two are pretty much saying, yo, you effed up and I'm going to leave if you don't go, then that means that Pam Bondi probably wasn't supposed to either say that or release any information. Or she definitely wasn't supposed to say, oh, yeah, he just killed himself. Now, Dan Bongino and the Kash Patel came out there and said, look, if you guys got any information, I'm happy to hear it. But so far, the files we're looking at, it just looks like he killed himself. And then Pam Bondi just rushes off with not only did he kill himself, but there was no list. He's not connected to no human trafficking. It was all just fabrication. Okay.
So
I only have it on Bongino.
It's all over X though.
No, I know, but let me just tell you what my reporting is. Bongino, it's Bongino or Bondi. He's not.
Who would you guys prefer, Bongino or Bondi? Okay, 7,000 to 0.
They want Dan. Of course, Dan. You know why? Because Dan understands MAGA. Dan's part of the MAGA movement. Dan's been an important piece of it and a mouthpiece for like really important ideas and an advocate and a fierce warrior. He's been in the trenches. With all due respect to Pam Bondi, she's been in Florida. She represented the president. It's nice, but do you think she really gets MAGA? I don't think so. She wouldn't have behaved this way if she did. And now it's a time for choosing. It's a time for choosing. We're about to lose Dan for sure, and maybe Kash too, if she doesn't go. Now she's got some allies. I think Susie Wiles is close with her, and Susie Wiles is amazing. And look, there's not that many like powerful women in the administration. Maybe she wants to keep.
Oh, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support, guys.
Keep her. She's from Florida. Susie Wiles from Florida. Trump lives in Florida. But this has gone well beyond this. Like, this could actually cost Trump in the midterms. We need to make a smart choice right now. We can't lose any of the MAGA base.
And let me just also reiterate this. And by no means did I want our very big student action summit to talk about Epstein, the entire, like, of all the things. I'm not like Epstein obsessed. Some people, their YouTube channel, it's all they talk about. I think that the fact that young people can't afford homes is something we should talk about a lot more than these things endlessly, but this matters a lot. And so from a media standpoint, Megan, you know the media better than anybody else. You've been in the media, you've been outside the media. What's this Sunday night thing? What is that? So you have a July 4th weekend after the big, beautiful bill, and you leak it on a Sunday night?
To Axios.
What is that?
If you want to leak it, you want conservatives to see it, you leak it to the Daily Caller, you leak it to Fox News, you leak it to Daily Wire. You don't leak it to Axios. Our people don't read Axios. If we read Axios, it's under protest just to see what the left is saying. True. So it was like you saw it appear. It was like, this must be bull. There's no way this is real. There's no way.
I mean, shoot, it's the same reason I watch CNN, ABC, and MSNBC, just to see what the left is complaining about today.
I can tell you right now, there's zero chance Dan Bongino's leaking to Axios. Zero. And cash. So, and yet today, as we came here, there's a piece in Axios that reflects very poorly on Dan, alleging Dan only freaked out once he saw in this memo that people weren't responding well to the missing minute of the tapes of Jeffrey Epstein's cell. Do you guys know this piece of the story?
Yeah.
And that he went into a meltdown like a little child and then threw a hissy fit. So my point is not to weigh in on the truth or falsity of that. It's false. But it is to point out that's clearly a Bondi leak.
And here's the thing, though. If you actually look at, you look at Jeffrey Epstein's cell and everything. First off, his cell was supposed to be like suicide proof to the point where he couldn't hang himself. Like, that's how suicide proof it was supposed to be. We're supposed to believe that this man pretty much tied himself to a bedpost or the bunker post and then pretty much lifted his knees up so he can hang himself. Like, bro, what?
Very clearly, that's a Bondi leak. So what's clear to me from this, as a member of the media, is Bondi leaked the memo to Axios, and Bondi's doubling down by trying to get Axios to dump on Dan and trying to make him be the fall guy and or Cash be the fall guy. And she will not face the cameras. If she means what she says, fine, come out and defend it. To Dan's credit, he went on Fox a couple of weeks ago, and he got beaten up pretty good for this, and said, I think Epstein killed himself. And the base went nuts. The base doesn't believe that, but he's like, if you got other proof, show it to me.
Well, if
he faced the cameras and did it, she hasn't.
I'm open to it. If that's true, why don't you just tell us the prisoners' names who are on the same cell block as Jeffrey Epstein?
There's a lot.
No, that's BS. I'm sorry. The President of the United States figured out whether we have HIPAA for federal prisoners. Tell us who the other prisoners were if no one had access to it, because all of a sudden, if we find out some of these prisoners had suspicious.
And here's the thing, guys. In a minute, do I believe that somebody can go in there within the time frame of a minute and unalive somebody and get out in time? Of course not. So I don't even believe the minute missing. Honestly, I just don't. Like, this, it don't add up. Well, there's a minute missing, and I mean, like, what? A minute missing when the guy walks in and walks out? Like, there's just no way. Unless, I mean, I can't imagine it, guys. I just can't imagine somebody walking in there like from 1 second to a whole minute and be able to choke this man out, make it look like he hung himself, and then walked right out. Unless, this is AI, it's an AI video they fed us and it's all BS. Like, that's also possible, but that's like wild speculation right there.
Intel ties. What I'm getting at is at some point we want answers at some point.
Yeah, answer the questions. That's
like,
it.
I don't want to talk about this as long as we have, and like we had this amazing summit, and we've spent all these resources in planning.
But Charlie, wait, let me just make a case for talking about it, because it's funny, because you look back at the past, Dan and Cash talked about Epstein all the time when they were in my business.
Well, that's the point, is that hasn't been a shtick of mine.
Mine either. I've talked about it when it's bubbled up.
Right?
Same. But I am a lawyer.
I mean, Kirk, let's be real. Charlie, let's be real. You don't like the Epstein stuff because it always leans back into Israel. And that's the main reason why you don't like it, because anything that puts Israel in a bad image, this man just neglects, does not look at it at all. I mean, I wish he would do more fair reporting on geopolitical topics, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is, guys.
Training. And can smell BS when it's being shoveled to me. And it's very obvious to me right now that we've got spinners trying to mess with us in Washington on a story that is important. And here's why. Yes, obviously, child sexual abuse matters. And if we have some ring of pedophiles running around.
Guys, you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, or if you have a video you want me to look up, that'll be $5 and up. But if you have any questions, jokes, or disagreements, $2 and up, I'd be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Appreciate the support, guys.
I mean, outside of Hollywood, we need to know. But here's why why it does matter. It's worthy of discussing at a place like this. It's about transparency. One of the main reasons that we voted Trump in was because we wanted real answers on real stories, and we didn't want to be BS'd anymore with a bunch of nonsense from our government that treated us like a bunch of stooges, right? Thank you. And I believe Trump is still loyal to that mission. And maybe the people who are behind that memo are loyal to that mission too, but this ain't it. That would require, especially on a story they know the base has been led down with a trail of breadcrumbs to believe something else for years. This is a story, the only way to end it, if that's your goal, is you stand in front of those cameras and you take every single question your biggest critics have for you.
So let's go.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I had the same idea. I was like, that's a pretty damn good idea. Make them go in front of the press and make them answer all the questions on it. I'm like, Pam, if you want to go ahead and give out this blanket answer, you think everybody's going to go with it. All right, then cool. Stand in front of the press. And as they give you all the circumstantial evidence that they've gathered, why don't you go and refute that? And if you can't, then maybe we need to look over some things. Like, and honestly, if you can't refute it, then you might need to resign because you just told everybody BS. Maybe that's why Dan and Cash is trying to leave.
Through a battle plan. Let's say you're senior advisor to the president. What is the 1, 2, 3 sequencing? Press conference, you would get rid of Bondi. What else to get us back on track towards transparency? I think the DOJ should immediately move to unseal all the Epstein documents in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah. Everything. Everything except child sexual assault material.
I think every file should be released to the public the same way as the JFK files. Let the American people decide.
Put them out there, because if there's nothing in there, then we can see there's nothing in there. Now, listen, people who are truly conspiratorial, who will just never believe anything other than Jeffrey was murdered and there's a ring of pedophiles, they won't be satisfied, and that's fine. You're entitled to believe that. Like, that's fine. You're entitled to your own beliefs. However, some percentage of skeptics will at least give them credit for opening the files. And we could have a situation where they open the files and Dan and Cash stand there and say, I don't know what was taken out of here before we got here. It's possible that those files are rather disappointing and they're not to blame. I don't know. And it's possible, I just got to say this for the record, it's also possible that Jeffrey Epstein was an absolutely disgusting predator who loved just the barely legal types and did take advantage of them and didn't actually farm a bunch of girls out to a bunch of men. It's possible. And I'll say this on it. I know somebody very close to the case, who I trust implicitly. And that person has told me from the beginning that that's what happened. That Epstein was very into the girls who looked like 13, but he knew he had to hire the ones who were like 17, 18 to come in and give him massages that had the so-called happy ending.
Yep.
And that was...
And guys, let's remember, this all started in 2000. I believe 2019 is when the case in Florida first got brought up against Epstein. And then, that led to a whole lot of things coming out. So here's the thing. A lot of people want to say, well, why didn't Trump hop on Epstein in his first first term? Well, because the case just started and he was damn near on his way out by 2020. Like, if y'all remember. So Trump didn't even really have time to cover it. But during his administration, the first term, the case did start off. Now, all the details about it came in under Biden, and Biden didn't do anything about it. But he also didn't do anything about Ukraine too much or Hamas. He didn't do anything to stop those two situations. So what made you think he was going to stop the Epstein stuff? It only made sense.
It's really his thing. And there are over 1,000 of those.
No, I get that. But I think what people want to know is what other powerful people were involved.
Yeah, we've heard all the names who went to Epstein Island, who went to Epstein Islands, who specifically went on the plane, who stayed for more than a night. Like, that's what Alan Dershowitz is saying, and he's so right about this. He was dragged through the mud by that Virginia Giuffre.
And he won his case.
He did not molest Virginia Giuffre. It was a lie, okay? And I've done this in depth, the study of this. His name was suggested to her by somebody who...
But the way he defended himself was definitely off-putting. He says, now, look. I didn't. What did he say? Look, I didn't get a massage. Like, it wasn't like that. I got a massage, but my underwear was on. You feel me? It was nothing crazy, and that's what he pretty much said. Now he didn't do it. He didn't do it, but what he told the people as his cover story did not help out at all.
Thought she'd sell more books if she named a famous guy, and it was suggested to her, how about Alan, who Jeffrey knew because Alan represented him when he got arrested for transportation of a minor in prostitution. And Alan, he did represent Epstein. That's not great. He represented OJ. Isn't that worse? Like, that's what criminal defense attorneys do. I don't judge it. We need them. We need them to kick the tires on the system. So in any event, that's how he knew Jeffrey. They weren't buddies. He wasn't like Bill Clinton palling around with him everywhere. So she got accused, she accused him unfairly, but he is saying now he thinks the entire files should be opened, even if other men like Alan get swept up into like a web of like, you did it, and then let them rehabilitate themselves the way he did. Let them show the evidence of, I actually wasn't even in the country when I got accused.
Like Lex Wessler, like, bro, let's go ahead and release the files and let's show that he was Epstein's main financer. And let's go ahead and everybody in Ohio razz his ass about him and be like, bro, defend yourself. What was you doing? Go ahead and giving mansions to Epstein. What were you doing putting them on the board of Victoria's Secret around women? Like, what's up, dog? So yeah, Leon Black, pull him to the side. Why'd you give money to Elon for doing your job? Millions of dollars. Like, let's sit these people down and have a nice conversation. Okay, maybe a bit aggressive, but hey, we need answers.
At a different place. I was at work. I'm on camera at the Starbucks, whatever. But why not? Given the amount of like smoke around this fire, why not just open the files?
Do you think there's any intel community involvement in this?
I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I am convinced, based on my own sources and my own reporting on this story, he wasn't one of ours.
So he was an American, which leads basically three options: MI6, Saudi, or Mossad.
Yep.
Which one would you choose?
Mossad.
I guess Mossad, given his connection to Ghislaine Maxwell.
So what does that mean?
Well, I mean, it's possible that that's the reason everything's getting buried, that there is some treasure trove.
And let's be real, Mossad already got some bad publicity from the JFK files, what's going on in, well, really what's going on in Gaza. Then when the JFK files found out that Israel had some involvement in JFK's assassination. So for the Epstein files to come out, we find out that he's a Mossad agent. That would just make Israel look even worse. And they're already losing the publicity battle. I mean, it's not like, it really doesn't matter if they're losing the public battle because, well, we're still going to support them and the people are still going to still say that the Palestinians deserve to be exterminated. So it really don't matter. But hey, it is what it is, right, guys?
And it's getting buried because...
How many people here believe that? Raise your hand. Okay, I'd say about half the hands think that it's being buried because of an Israeli thing.
It could be. I really don't know.
And I have no evidence to suggest that.
No, me neither. I did think it was very odd how, look, half of you raised your hands because you've heard that theory. You've heard it debated. You have questions. But the one time Pam Bondi was asked a question about this at the cabinet meeting on Monday, she was like, and as for whether he was an agent, that I don't know. I haven't looked into that. I'll get back to you. You haven't looked into it? What do you mean? So that was kind of a fishy answer.
And Megan, remember Alexander Acosta in 2007.
And shout out doesn't matter. He says, this is all about gumming up the works and implicating everyone in positions of power as a pedo. What if the unredacted Epstein files get leaked and the truth comes out? What's Israel's next move? Then, well, they'll probably be denying it. If they don't deny it, they'll probably say you're anti-Semitic for bringing it up. I mean, they always got that anti-Semitic claim. The ever-evolving definition of anti-Semitism is about. So they could always hit you with that. And let's be real. If there is, because we already got, there's a lot of things that Mossad has gotten away with that we still don't hold them accountable till this day. Like the whole reason why they got a secret nuclear program is because they stole a bomb from us in New Mexico, Pennsylvania. Like the government of Israel, the Mossad, has gotten away with a lot of covert operations in America. So what will be our next move? I honestly don't know under the Trump administration because there's a lot of people who do back Israel. Now, am I saying that Trump is not for America? Of course not. But I am saying that he is mighty cool with Israel.
He said he was told to treat Epstein carefully because he was an intel asset. That was one of Trump's cabinet secretaries.
Oh, and shout out, doesn't matter. Appreciate the support.
Who was literally a U.S. attorney 3 hours from here in Florida. He said that himself.
Well, and let me tell you the consequences of that. His subpoena, his search warrant on Jeffrey Epstein's residence was very narrow. It was not the kind of like, let's get everything. Let's see everything inside this guy's, dressers and so on. It was very, very narrowly tailored. And to this day, that's what the FBI is stuck with. So it really is possible that Dan and Cash got in there and, in like a Geraldo and Al Capone's vault situation, opened it up and we're like, oh my gosh, there's nothing in here. Like, we did not find the magic documents or photos or evidence of anything. And why not? I don't know we'll ever know why not. I'm not sure we'll ever know, but I guess I care less about that than I do about just open the books and be fully.
No, I don't want to feed into any of the, let's just say, speculative theories. But Alexander Acosta himself talked about intel asset, and you have to wonder that.
Yeah, Alexander Acosta, which was, I believe, the Attorney General of Florida at the time, pretty much was told that, back off Epstein, he's intelligence, and they did. Now, did they say what intelligence agency? Of course not. Of course, I'm not going to tell you that. But they did confirm that, we can't really mess with him like your average pedo because he's part of this, intelligence operation. What was the intelligence operation for? And why the hell are we supporting a pedophile doing it? Like, what could be so important? Oh, well, yeah, the blackmail of our most powerful officials and our most powerful moneymakers or members and or really financiers on Wall Street. Yeah, that could be a reason why people are so, I guess, protective of this Epstein guy.
The timing of all this, Sunday night. So you have the big beautiful bill. You have Independence Day weekend. Why are you doing this on a Sunday night? Was it
bury it?
But you don't bury things on Sunday night.
You do on a holiday weekend. You do. Like, people are away. They're traveling back from the beach on Sunday night. They're dealing with traffic. They knew they were too smart to think that they could get away with doing it on a Saturday night or on a Friday night. So they wanted the cover of like, we're doing it on like the night before a real news day. But Monday after July 4th is not a real news day. Everybody's still in transition.
So left unaddressed, I know this is a hypothetical, which I hate those questions. What if we just try to proceed, what does that mean?
If we just what?
Just try to proceed. No, don't address this. If the administration just tries.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie though. I was still suffering from patriotism overload. Like, come on now. I was too happy to be an American. Then they throw out this BS, and now I'm just doubting the whole DOJ and FBI. I'm not doubting Trump. I'll be real with you. Trump is doing perfect. He's doing perfect when it comes to the homeland. I do have his criticism when it comes to geopolitical stuff, but I'm not blaming this whole Epstein file stuff on Trump. I'm blaming it on the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the DOJ, the Department of Justice. I'm blaming it on those two departments. Just being fair about it, because like I said, I blame it all on Trump. Remember, Trump hired these people to take care of this stuff. He's not like he has some hands-on. He has some hands-on ability, but let's be real. The man's like trying to work out 90 trade deals, writing letters to countries. You think he has time to worry about the Epstein files as well? I doubt it.
Tries to power through.
Her days are numbered.
Damn.
She can't.
If we just try to proceed, what does that mean?
If we just what?
Just try to proceed. No, don't address this. If the administration just tries to power through.
Her days are numbered. She can't recover from this. She's shot herself in the foot on her own credibility. I just don't think she's going to recover. And I'm sorry to be ungenerous, but I just don't think Pam Bondi is skilled enough to avoid making another mistake very soon. And so that'll probably be the one that gets her, because President Trump, I understand fully, he doesn't want to offer a scalp in response to this. And I get it. He doesn't want to, and I understand why, even though it's his own people. He doesn't want to look like he sold out his people. And he's loyal too. He really is. He's very loyal to the people who are loyal to him, to his credit.
Cast her off.
But I think he's also extremely smart, and he can read a room better than anybody. And I think once he realizes, thanks to an event like this, et cetera, that this does matter with the base. This is not a nothing burger for them, for all the reasons we've discussed. I think he'll decide she's a goner. It's just a question of what the excuse is, more time with her family, or, right? And she'll be sayonara.
And so from a PR standpoint, so you would do an open press conference, take every possible question.
If I were,
I will be right there with some of you libs on, oh, Trump made the DOJ hide the files, but let's be real. The DOJ and the FBI had their hands on the file throughout the entire Biden administration. The entire Biden administration, they had their hands on this file. So like I said, I can't sit there and blame Trump when I really, like I said, I can only blame the FBI and the DOJ. They've had their hands on this file for years. Before Trump would even step back in office, they had their hands on this file. So how can we sit there and just say, oh, Trump told him to hide it? Then we'd have to say the same thing about Biden then, because he had it for 4 years and ain't say nothing.
Trump, I would say all three of you are going out and holding a presser. Everybody's welcome, all comers. And you're not leaving until, like, we're down to the Jim Acostas of the world. Like, you will stay until those kinds of people have gotten to ask questions. Because let me tell you something, another thing that's irritating about the whole way they've handled it is they're embarrassing other good people. Like, did you see Caroline Leavitt out there trying to answer questions on this?
And I think Caroline's great. Don't we like Caroline?
She's the best. Same.
She has nothing to do with this.
Nothing to do with it. I love her, and she is.
And shout out to my man, Does It Matter, coming in again. He says, does Trump now realize that the swamp is actually too deep to be drained with the truth? And is this the reason why Matt Gaetz was forced to withdraw as Attorney General? Now, what I've heard about Matt Gaetz is, ironically, that it was actually a Mossad sting. It was a Mossad honeypot operation done on Matt Gaetz. They were trying to extort him for $20 million. And for some reason, the man stepped down. Now, I'm gonna be real with you. This did kind of put like my alert on Matt Gaetz. Like, I mean, bro, if it's not true, then why'd you step down? I mean, they were trying to do the same thing to Hegseth. Like, you remember all the salacious stuff they were saying about Hegseth? He didn't step down, but all this stuff came out about Matt Gaetz, and he stepped down. Now, I do like Matt Gaetz. I love when he does his newscasting. It's great. I like him. And he was the perfect man for the job. But when all this stuff came to him, he did bow down instead of trying to take the fight. So that's the only thing that kind of like irks me about Matt Gaetz, even though I wish he was the one here right now. If Matt Gaetz was here, bro, this would not be it. If Matt Gaetz was the Attorney General, this would not be it right now. And if it was, I would be 20 times more upset. I would, because Matt Gaetz actually talks about that stuff in depth.
Total credibility. And I watched her try to like spin that memo, which is her job, and I felt nothing but empathy for her. And
I agree with that.
And I also felt like, how dare you put her in this position? This is your stink over at the DOJ. Why don't you get your own spokesperson out there to deal with it? But don't make poor Caroline sacrifice the president's credibility and hers on this dog.
Oh, no, and that's like I said, Matt Gaetz, it was not proved that he did any of that. So, like I said, he got away with it, but they were trying to bring it up again, and it became this whole, well, let's be real. It took media attention for like a week, this whole Matt Gaetz scare. And like I said, one of the main reasons I wanted Matt Gaetz, because all the Dems were freaking out once Trump said, you know, I want Matt Gaetz as AG, and the Dems were just crying their ass off. But shout out Michelle Glass. Appreciate the support, sis. She says, evening set. Evening, everyone. Hey, and shout out to the support, guys. Appreciate it. All right, guys, let's remember to double tap that screen and like the video.
Turd of a story. So they do need to wrap it up. It should be wrapped up. In a perfect world, Trump will say, all three of you get out there, have an open presser. Anybody can answer questions, and just answer them all honestly. Short of that, like, we could get to, today's Friday, we could get to Monday with Dan gone, possibly Cash gone. Again, my reporting says Cash is staying. Others says he'll go if Bongino goes. I think one of them knows we have a country to run, and we really do need one of them there.
No, I think we need both. I mean, I'd hate to lose them both.
I do too.
And let's play this out.
Yeah, but even Dan Bongino, from what Dan Bongino's been saying during his interviews, he's like, bro, we're being pulled in different directions. Like, we're at the top of the FBI, but we don't know. But they're like, bro, but we don't know what's really going on here. Like, we're getting shown files like that's been locked up in an FBI locker. People are pulling us here and there. And here's the thing, that would scare me too. I'm like, I'm not sure if you're pulling me to show me something or you're pulling me away to distract me. So I'm pretty sure they're thinking the same way too. Because if you actually, like, he's seen Dan Bongino's interview about how it is at the FBI, he's like, yo, we're being pulled in every direction, being shown all types of stuff. It's like, it's hard to focus on something. So I will give them this, I'll cut them slack on that.
For a second though, let's say Bongino leaves. Well, he's not going to keep its mouth shut. So
no, he's got one of these too.
He's got a big one of these. Yeah. And he will come out immediately and he will tell his side of the story, which will not help the integrity of the administration.
No.
Right? So if you let Bongino walk, you will have somebody for years that will be bitter towards the administration. And all of us
He's
will
not going to want to hurt Trump.
No, but he'll tell the truth and we will lose. We will be like, if Bongino can't go and fight and solve this thing, then like, I mean, what are we doing here?
I know.
Right?
Yeah, that will be a morale killer. So it would be a morale killer for a guy like Dan Bongino. Like, bro, has one of the biggest podcasters on Rumble to just turn away and be like, yo, I can't even trust this administration like that. It would be a morale killer, I will admit. Like, not for me too much, but I can see where MAGA's like, yeah, I can't even trust the administration no more. Like, one of the main guys who's literally from the outside try to come in outside the establishment, try to come in and fix something, and he's willing to quit now. He's like, nah, F it. There is no fixing it. If he quits, that means Dan Bongino is pretty much telling us, guys, I went in there and there is no fixing it. And I don't think we want to hear that, to be quite honest. Well, at least I don't.
If Dan Bongino, who's like one of the greatest patriots we have, cannot go and reform the FBI with Kash Patel after we win a popular vote majority,
right?
Then I will never give up. But I know for millions of people that will be met with just a sigh of cynicism.
But think about it,
you know what I
Charlie.
mean?
Yes, 100%. You think about, like you mentioned, Jeanine Pirro would take no prisoners. She's totally confirmable too. She'd be great in this role. Like, it's not like there's no bench behind Pam Bondi. Like, there is a bench. Jeanine could do it. Harmeet could do it. Even Matt Gaetz can't do it. I mean, he could do it, but
he's not confirmable.
Yeah, he's not confirmable.
Matt Gaetz for a special prosecutor, that would be very.
Yeah, that's a problem. Matt Gaetz is not confirmable, bro. Bro, if you ever watch Matt Gaetz and do his show on X, I believe I've only seen his show on X, but if you watch that man's little show he got or his newscasting, this man goes there. He gets into Israel. He gets into the geopolitical topics that, you know what, Fox News don't cover, CNN don't cover, and he's pretty like outright just, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, he's a truth teller. He's a truth teller. I'll give Matt Gaetz that. But yeah, he's not confirmable because all the stuff he said on his show, they're gonna quote him each and every time.
Now that would be fun to watch.
Matt Gaetz with a government corruption special prosecutor.
Anyway, there are other people who could take over that role. And just think about it, because I can see the untenability of Dan and Kash staying effectively working for Pam, right? Like, they're working for her and she seems feckless.
And shout out to Michelle Glass. Appreciate it, sis. He's like, they know at least Bongino has a heart, but the job hits you. What if Epstein is alive? People will fall and could start a major war. I mean, yeah, here's the thing. I remember that was the main concern they had about the Epstein list. Like, oh, well, if they release it and it has all these big bankers and politicians, then what's going to happen, guys? Like, let's say this worst case scenario, they drop the Epstein list. Now we're missing like hella CEOs. Like, the stock market is going down because, let's be real, a lot of these companies are bought, or a lot of these shares do get bought off the good faith of who's leading these not countries, but companies. Yes, a lot of stocks are bought off good faith because of the leadership. If some of these leaders are gone, what do you think is going to happen? And God forbid that, I mean, let's say that a majority of a certain party is on the Epstein list, right? Like, or let's say a majority of Congress or the Senate's on the Epstein list. What the hell we going to do with no senators and congressmen? Like, it's tough, but I understand that we got to do it, but I can see where somebody be like, all right, guys, like maybe we can do this one by one, but we can't just release it all at once without like damn near toppling the system.
Except she seems somewhat petty and personal, given the leaks I'm reading. And she seems way too focused on being a star. It reminds me of Brian Williams of NBC. Remember how it was like, it turned out he was more interested in seeing his mug on television and telling fake stories about what a badass he allegedly was and like Abbottabad, with SEAL Team 6 practically raiding the compound, than he was in being taken seriously and being a credible news anchor. And I'm sorry to say, I think she suffers from that same disease.
Damn.
And so she has to go.
Two final thoughts. Number one, everybody, just so you know, all going late tonight and all tomorrow, we are doing exclusive interviews for the Charlie Kirk Show right near Ballroom C for members only. So if you guys want to see interviews, we're going to be interviewing all the major names. We just had a conversation with Pete Hegseth and Tucker Carlson. We have big ones tomorrow, so it's at Ballroom C. They'll be happening all day. Just look at your agenda. That's right on there if you guys want to attend. Megan, last question.
All right.
So there's 7,000 people here, most of which are students. What advice do you have for them fighting on campus, trying to figure out what they want to do with their life? Let's do a non-Epstein end to all of this.
Awesome. Be who you are. Don't pretend you're a lefty in order to win any professor's good humor. He's not worth it. Get your D on your paper because you refuse to argue that capitalism is bad, and wear it like a badge.
Man, sis, I was doing that since the 10th grade, sis. I was doing that since the 10th grade.
Badge of honor. Bring it with you in.
But then again, though, it wasn't that like prevalent. Like, I'll be real with you, there were teachers that I had that they obviously had a political bias. And if you wrote anything outside of what they were saying, I mean, dog, you get ready for a solid ass C. They ain't gonna do you too dirty because you're gonna complain to the dean or to the dean's office, but you will get a solid ass C for going outside their theory or political ideology. And it wasn't that. I've only experienced like one time in college, and I experienced way more in high school than college, to be quite honest with you. But it's there, it's out there. And I would say, people, if people are trying to lead your ideology or lead you to think a certain way, I would fight it. I would definitely fight it, and then be damn near rebellious about it. Now, I'm not saying you should just start being violent towards people, but speak out against it. Have a different opinion. Challenge it.
To your job interview. And that will make sure you align with an employer who's right for you, right? Don't say that you support Planned Parenthood the way they want you to. Don't call yourself a feminist because your teacher will give you pats on the head. Stand up for what you really believe in. And that's how we spread the good word. That's how we convert others over to where we stand, rather than just get ahead pretending we're with them, and then only once we have power tell our true feelings. It's not worth it. Anybody who came to me with a crappy GPA from one of these elite universities and then showed me all their papers that spoke up for conservatism and America and God, faith, I would hire them in an instant over somebody who emerged with a perfect GPA, who went along to get along. That's not a leader. That's a sheep. Don't be like that. Stand up for your beliefs now when it matters.
And I am saying that is quite a few college grads. I'm not going to say all of them, because I ain't gonna lie, these college universities, these universities have turned into, well, liberal indoctrination camps, leftist indoctrination camps that, well, feed these kids an ideology. I mean, yeah, they'll give them their education, but they'll also make them a leftist at the same damn time. So now they're an educated leftist, which, at least the education parts, at least the educated part is good. I ain't mad at that.
Have a seizure. It's like free. Anyway, thank you so much for having me.
That boy took me.
This is more people in one place than I've seen since the last Charlie Kirk event I was at. So it's hilarious. So I noticed everyone's been talking about Epstein tonight, and I want to kind of differ from the crowd a little bit in saying that I watched Ben Shapiro yesterday, and now before you boo me, I thought he made a really solid point. He's like, it happened a long time ago. Who cares? And by the way, we should trust the government and whatever the bureaucrats tell us. And by the way, it's wrong to ask a lot of unauthorized questions. So I just want to go on the record to say that, I think that's absurd.
Now, I never really liked Ben Shapiro because, one, he started out as a never Trumper, and now he's all over Trump now, all over the man. Well, maybe because he's seen that was really the only options that the Republicans really had, because, well, I guess the Republican voting base no longer trusted your establishment politician.
And it's exactly the kind of thinking that I personally voted against in the last election. In the last election, I spent a lot of the month of October campaigning with and for the president. I voted for the president. I never vote for anybody generally. I know they're always telling you must vote or you can't have an opinion. Oh, shut up. I don't like to vote, but I did vote this time. And I don't like to vote because I don't believe in any of them. And this time I really felt like I know Trump well. I love Trump personally. And what we were looking at was just so awful and totalitarian and stupid. And it wasn't even the arguments that I disagreed with from the Kamala Harris. It's weird to even say her name now. Who was that exactly? It was like a bad dream. But it wasn't even so much the arguments I disagreed with, though I definitely disagreed with the arguments. It was the style of argument that drove me completely bonkers, summarized most crisply by shut up racist. Whatever you said, it was shut up racist. And it's like, but wait, first of all, I'm not a racist, but that's not even the point. The point is, I just told you what I think. I just asked you an entirely legitimate question, mostly, what the hell are you doing? And rather than answer it, you didn't pay me the respect that you would a human being. You treated me like a slave or an animal by telling me to stop barking. Shut up, racist. And I won't put up with that because I'm not a slave or an animal. I'm an American citizen, an adult man who pays his taxes. So, you know, I ask people questions for a living, and very often I get answers that I don't care for, that I disagree with, that I think are stupid, but at least they're answers. At least the person responding is treating me like a human being with a soul created in the image of the Creator. He's paying me the respect that every human being is due. When you ask a direct question to someone in charge, you are due. That person is morally bound to give you an answer. He's not bound to agree with you, but he's bound to stop and answer your question. And the left never did that. They would dismiss you out of hand. You are not worth listening to. Be quiet. And that's, of course, where the impulse to censorship comes from. It comes from the belief that you don't deserve to speak because you're not fully human. They own you. And that's what I voted against above all. I mean, I voted against a million different things that I hated about the last administration. Their insane desire to start pointless wars around the world. Their total unwillingness to protect this country domestically, to protect the people who live here, to protect the territorial integrity of the country, bringing in tens of millions of people illegally, giving them free stuff the second they get here, making a mockery of citizenship.
Then lie about it.
I hated all of that. I hated all of that. But the thing I hated most was their total unwillingness to answer any question about why they were doing what they were doing, because it was just too insulting. And every single time I would just feel like raising the middle finger and screaming obscenities, which is not an adult response, I'll concede, but that's how I felt. And I think that's really at the heart of why the Epstein thing is so distressing. I mean, the guy was some weird sex freak who was abusing girls. We knew that. Mm-hmm. But the fact that the US government, the one that I voted for, refused to take my question seriously and instead said, case closed, shut up, conspiracy theorist, was too much for me. And I
mean, Tucker's been catching a lot of heat. Like, he was against the bombing of Iran. You try to call him an isolationist, a Qatarian stooge. He's paid by Qatar, paid by Iran. I mean, just because the man said maybe we should have thought about it, you know, so the consequences of bombing Iran. Maybe we should think about that instead of being so, oh yeah, we bombed the shit out of a man, America. I mean, you know, I'm all for it. But I'm also for, you know, forward thinking, or I say having the ability to think past Friday instead of just enjoying the recklessness in the moment.
I don't think the rest of us should be satisfied with that. And by the way, let me just say really quickly, because I was so mad about it that I think I found out part of what's going on. I think we are going to find out more. And I think the truth, for whatever it's worth, in case you're interested, is that the DOJ didn't release lots of incriminating sex videos with Epstein and his billionaire pals because they don't have them. They don't have them because when the original search warrant was served, 2007, I think, possibly 2006, I think 7, it was basically designed to protect Epstein. The search warrant was written in such a way to make sure that the feds never got their hands on the actually incriminating evidence. It's another way of saying the cover-up has been going on since 2007, almost 20 years. And so the real question is not, was Jeffrey Epstein a weirdo who was abusing girls? Yes, we can answer that. The real question is, why was he doing this, on whose behalf, and where did the money come from? And those are the questions that need to be answered. And I think it's entirely fair to ask them. And
I mean, yeah, Les Wexner, a billionaire at L Brands, and then we got Leon Black. So I'll go talk to those two people who gave, you know, Epstein a substantial amount of money for really not doing too much.
And it's not adequate to say anyone who asked them is somehow desecrating the memory of little girls who died in Texas. I'm not going to put up with that answer. I don't care who gives that answer. That is not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting US president. It's got a whole trail of crimes.
I mean, yeah, it was like a triple team event. Well, a tag team event, damn near. Because it was what? It was the CIA and the Mossad teaming up to take out the sitting president, well, at the time, JFK. Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's what the JFK files revealed. That one, there was most likely 2 shooters, and 2, that Israel definitely had a hand involved, and 3, well, JFK did not like Israel at that time for various reasons.
That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interests. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house.
Yep. Ehud Barak, yes, visited Epstein over 10 times. So, I mean, Epstein has been invited to the White House by Bill Clinton many times. I believe one of the abusers, or one of the people that Epstein was trafficking, said that Bill Clinton introduced Epstein as the king of America. Now, this is coming from one of these women's mouth who was being trafficked by Epstein and all that good stuff. So, you know, you could take it with a grain of salt if you'd like.
I've had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every US citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this? And by the way, if it turns out that it was nothing at all, that somehow Jeffrey Epstein really did earn $165 million giving tax advice to somebody, which is, for the record, a lot more than most people pay their accountants, and that none of this was actually a foreign intel operation, and that there was no blackmail involved, that actually Bill Gates was just hanging on the island because the weather was especially good. No one was videotaped doing anything immoral or illegal, and then that was used against them to get them to obey. If all of that is false, then just tell me how it's false. But don't call me a lunatic. And when Fox News runs a piece, as they did yesterday by Hugh Hewitt, saying that anybody who's got even more questions about Epstein is some kind of nutcase with an unhappy personal life, who's spending too much time on Twitter in the fervid fever swamps of conspiracies, up yours, buddy. Then why don't you answer the question then? Don't let anybody insult you, anybody, and I mean anybody, ever, get away with insulting you.
I mean, look, if somebody got to use shame to like substantiate their claim or their argument, then they're coming from a point of insecurity. If you got to sit here and try to name call me or call me stupid or say, oh, well, you must not be educated to take this stance, then you're coming from a point of insecurity. And I'm pretty sure I can dismantle whatever you're arguing. Because if you got to use shame, then you're not too secure about what you're thinking here. Because most people who are pretty secure in what they're thinking, they're trying to get it to you in the most, I guess, respectful way possible because they really want to get you on their side. If you got to use shame and all that good stuff, name calling the ad hominems, then yeah, you're pretty insecure about your point.
Instead of answering a legitimate question. Okay? Ever. And by the way, you will hear certain people say, well, you know, that means you hate the person. No, it doesn't. I've got a bunch of kids. I would never let them get away with that. If I caught one of my kids, you know, smoking weed in the bathroom at my house, I was like, are you smoking weed in the bathroom? Shut up, racist. You hate me. No, you're my child. I don't hate you. Answer the freaking question.
I mean, shoot, you gonna hate me after that, after this ass whooping. I'd have told him that though, like for sure.
Were you smoking weed in the bathroom or not? I'm not the criminal here. You seem to be. So I just think it's really important to get into that headspace. And even now, when people talk about this topic, I can promise you, since I spent all day on the phone yesterday on this topic with informed people, they're like whispering certain words. And I'm like, why are we whispering? Why should I be ashamed as an American about wanting to know what the hell that just was? Why should I be embarrassed? I'm not the bad guy here. Why should I be embarrassed to ask what's in this war for us? We got to go to war. Shut up. You're a bigot if you don't want it. First of all, I'm not a bigot. But second, that's kind of not the point. The point is, what's in it for us? Why is this a good idea? Shut up. And it's exactly the style of argument that I voted against, and I will never accept it. I don't care who does it. I will never accept that. Give me a legitimate answer, a reasonable answer, a sincere answer, a good faith answer. We may disagree. You may say, as a good friend of mine who's like totally deranged, but a good person said to me yesterday, Iran is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. You know, reading the talking point that apparently everyone, a bumper sticker that is for sale somewhere.
I'm sorry, but I do have to like stupid comments like that right there. No shaming people for abhorrent behavior. There is no abhorrent behavior. We just think differently than you. That's wild. That's what I'm saying. It's like you have no stance for how you actually treat people who think differently than you. Oh, it's abhorrent behavior. Because bro thinks conservatively. Oh my God, bro. Y'all are crazy.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what that means exactly, but how many Americans have been killed by Shia terrorism in my lifetime, which is 56 years? I can't think of any. I'm sure there have been some in the United States. There have been Shia terror attacks sponsored by Iran in the US. I can't think of any. There was 9/11. That was a Sunni terror attack. And then there's the drug epidemic, which has killed more than 1 million people during that same period.
Honestly, if we release the 9/11 files as well, that's also going to have Israel's fingerprints on it. Well, I mean, in two directions. And I mean, well, one, the dancing Israelis. So, I mean, no, not 9/11, but at least the World Trade bombing. So 1993, the dancing Israelis. Then we got the people who committed the plane crash or who committed the hijacking in 9/11. And the story behind them is a bit weird as well. Like the reason why they did it was very telling.
People I know, my next door neighbor's kid, dead. People, a bunch of people I know have died, and a bunch have been totally screwed up and taken out of life. Basically, their lives have been hollowed out. They're husks. They've been totally destroyed by drugs. That's the reality that I live in the United States. So you're telling me Iran is a bigger threat than the people peddling this garbage? I don't think so. Not where I live, it's not. Oh, shut up. And the person literally said, you know, we're going to have to agree to disagree. Disagree with what? What are you even talking about? But at least he gave me an answer. He didn't say, oh, you hate so-and-so. He didn't go immediately to motive. Okay, so this is always the tell. This is when you know you're dealing with someone who has zero interest in getting to the truth of the question, and instead is trying to make you be quiet.
I mean, it's just like with this whole Texas flood thing. Instead of getting to the truth of what really happened by saying, yo, it's a mishap by the local officials, they're trying to blame Trump. Like, That's the thing. Like, if people don't do their research, they don't truly look into this stuff. They're just looking to rage bait. They just want to get mad at somebody. Like the Epstein files. A lot of people don't really care about the Epstein files. They just want to see Trump's name on it. And if they don't, they'd probably toss it into the fire somewhere out of disappointment. So yeah, we got to understand that there's really people out here who don't care about the situation. They just care about, well, hating their favorite person to hate.
In order to roll over you and make you obey. And the tell is when they go immediately to motive. Well, you just hate some group, or you're taking money from some other group. And neither one happens to be true in my case, but I always feel like saying, well, okay, what if I am getting paid? Or what if I have some kind of creepy bigotry? Which I don't, because I think it's immoral. God created individuals, each one knows the hairs on your head. Each person has a soul. No person is seen by God as a member of a group. Each person is seen by God as an individual.
Yeah.
So I don't like that.
So it is crazy when leftists come out there and say, well, like, remember the hurricane in North Carolina that hit, and they were saying, oh, it's a whole bunch of sundown towns is getting ran over. That's good for those racist white people, even though they don't know those white people at all. They even call them racist. Or the video that a girl was saying, oh, well, I don't know why we're feeling bad for those girls in Texas. They actually come from an all-white girls camp. And if they were Hispanic, this wouldn't be getting that much coverage. No, there's actually a girl who said that dumb shit on the left. So yes, guys, there is a problem with the left when it comes to just trying to frame the right for anything, or just trying to make everything a political point. Like, that's being too politicized. Like, can we just sit here and feel bad for people who are going through a natural disaster? Like, can we just do that and pray for them without bringing politics into this? Is that impossible? I'm talking to the left here.
And I really don't. I'm not just saying that. And I mean every individual on the planet, regardless of what he looks like or what he believes. That is true of every person. And I sincerely mean that. But even if I didn't, maybe I was some like full wacko. And maybe I was like taking tons of money from some bad country, one of the bad countries you're not allowed to talk about or like. Qatar!
No.
That's the most hilarious. Qatar is kind of controlling our conversation. Qatar, evil Qatar. I am laughing. I've actually been to Qatar. It's awesome. Never taken a dollar from the Qataris or the Qataris or whatever they're called. It's a great country. But whatever. But even if I was like on the payroll of Qatar, which I guess I can't now. But anyway, even if I was, it still wouldn't make the question any less relevant. Why is this a good idea? And their refusal to answer that question lets you know right away that you are not dealing with a person of good faith. You're dealing with a propagandist who is trying to control you. And I would say at exactly that point, that's when you say out loud, I know who you are. This is all fake. You can't even answer the question. You're trying to make me shut up because I'm a bigot, like the liberals did 7 months ago. And that's why we voted them out. So I'm not putting up with that. I voted against this and I won't tolerate it. So the second point I would make, before maybe taking a couple of your hostile questions, I hope, about Qatar, is I was brooding about this today. What about the Epstein story is so uniquely infuriating? And I'll just say, I mean, I've never met Epstein, but I mean, I know a million people who knew Jeffrey Epstein. It is true that he was around. Like, everyone knew Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think I was cool enough to actually meet him, but like, he was just a guy who was kind of circulating around, like this rich guy who knew everybody.
Socialite.
What is it? And everyone knew he was a creep, but then there are a lot of creeps in that world. Just telling you what you probably know already. What is it about Jeffrey Epstein that's so infuriating to people, so infuriating that it's actually causing seismic political problems? And I hope that they'll address it and it'll get better. I really do. But what is it? I'll tell you what it is. It's the frustration of normal people watching a certain class of people get away with everything every single time. That's what it is. And that drives me absolutely bonkers. By the way, it's one of the things that bothers me about immigration. You know, as someone who got arrested in Syracuse, New York as a kid because I had an expired driver's license and brought to a cell, I'm watching people come, that actually happened. I have done time. It does change a man. Yes, I joined a gang. But I watch, 60 million people come into the
And shout out to my man Daniel Castro. He said, "Who's Foley? Is he like Dave and Fox Chase mix?" Hey, shout out to my man Castro. Hey, appreciate you tuning in, big dog. All right, let's keep it going.
cell. I'm watching people come. That actually happened. I have done time. It does change a man. Yes, I joined a gang. But I watch, 60 million people come into the country illegally or overstay their fake refugee status or whatever. I mean, the whole thing's a scam. And they get housing vouchers and free education and free cell phones and plane tickets. It's like, wait a second. Not only are they not getting punished for breaking American law, as I would and have, they're getting rewarded for it. The unfairness of it drives you crazy. And it's
they're rewarding the illegal immigrants more than the immigrants who actually are waiting in line to come into this country. Like the backlog of about 6 million applications for, to come into America. So it is pretty wild how we're sitting here letting people who disrespected our laws, and we're putting them over to people who are respecting our laws by waiting in, putting in their papers and all that good stuff. It is crazy. And shout out to my man James Foley. He says Alpha Omega Big Wave Fox. Okay. Oh Lord. That was funny. I'm about to go.
Particularly galling in the case of Jeffrey Epstein and the whole constellation of people around Jeffrey Epstein, all of whom seem to be getting away with scams. And how do you know they're getting away with scams? I'll tell you how, because they're useless and they're rich. So how do you come to a place where some of the least impressive, most useless people who have no actual skills become billionaires? How's that legitimate? And by the way, if you ask this question, at least in Washington, it's like, oh, well, yeah, it sounds like you're a socialist. Sounds like socialism. Yeah, okay, I'm a socialist now. All right. I was a Qatari agent or a bigot. Now I'm a socialist. All right.
Bro, you was a Qatari agent, an Iranian agent, an isolationist, like all that, Tucker, all that.
Had my committed socialism. Can you answer the question? How did Bill Ackman get $9 billion? Bill Ackman, a pretty impressive guy. I know Bill Ackman. No. Bill Ackman's like well-connected and super aggressive. That's it. And I think, well-connected, super aggressive people deserve a fair living like everybody else. But if you're accruing $9 million just because you're willing to do anything,
well,
I don't know why we have to pretend that's good. How did Epstein get 4 Gulf Streams? How did he get an island, a massive ranch in New Mexico, the biggest house in New York? Like, what is that?
Because he got, this man got Bill Gates to give donations for him. He got Lex Wessler to give donations. Leon Black. Now, all of these guys, maybe not Leon Black, is billionaires. That was giving Jeffrey Epstein a substantial amount of money, pretty much financing his lifestyle. For whatever reason, I'm not sure. Now, Lex Wessler, he has a very strong ties to Israel, and he might have been doing it because Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. Leon Black, that's looked like a blackmail situation. And the same thing with Bill Gates.
Like, at some point, the basic economics really matter. And they matter because not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer, it's bad that everyone else is getting poorer. And it's especially bad that young people can't afford homes. Let me just put a very precise point on this. If you want a measure of how your economy is doing, I personally favor eliminating GDP as a measure. I don't even know what that is. It's clearly not relevant. They tell me Japan has a stagnant GDP. Have you been to Tokyo? It's the single most radicalizing experience you'll ever have because it's just so nice. You lost the war? Really? Can we lose a war and wind up like this? GDP. No. I don't know what even that.
Nah, Japanese culture. Some people blame it on their hegemony. So people in Japan, right? Japan does not have a what do they call it? Like the mixing pot of cultures or whatever. Yeah, they don't have that. Everybody in Japan is like 99.9% Japan, and the 0.01 is people who just are military or who just come in there to live. Like there's black people live in Japan, but Lord knows they wasn't born there. And that's how Japan is ran. It's ran by all Japanese people. And I would say that due to this, they have a love for their land, a love for their people, and it's hard for them to commit crimes against each other since they see themselves as, Japanese. I know, right? Nationalism can bring down crime because we see each other as the same. I wish we had that same feeling in America. Like, we can develop it if we're, done being divisive.
That is the total economic activity. Oh, no. My measure is really simple. I got a bunch of kids. Can they afford houses with full-time jobs at like 27, 28? And the answer is no way. And the answer is that 35-year-olds with really good jobs can't afford a house unless they stretch and go deep into debt. And I just think that's a total disaster. That's a complete disaster. Why? Two reasons. One, if people don't own things, they don't feel ownership of the country they're in. And the country gets super volatile because people feel like they've got nothing to lose. When you have a lawn, trust me, you're thinking long term. Second, it's really hard to have a family without a house. It is. It's like super fun to live in an apartment if, you know, there's like a bar downstairs, you're in a cool neighborhood. I'm in East Village, it's so cool. Try to have 3 kids. You're not gonna have 3 kids there, you can't. Nobody wants to raise their kids in that neighborhood. Nobody wants to raise their kids in an apartment. People do it because they have to, nobody wants to. People want a little house, not some McMansion, just a little normal house. That is the actual American dream. And that is what is totally unattainable.
I see what I said went over your head, little buddy Barnett. So when I say be more like Japan, I'm talking about the fact that, well, their race and their nationality. If we learn to love our nationality as much as Japanese people did, then crime would definitely go down because we see each other as American. And why would we want to hurt a fellow American? But no, we're divisive. We see each other as, I'm Republican, I'm conservative, you're liberal, you're black, I'm white. Shoot, I mean, you're pro-abortion, I'm a pro-lifer. Like, there's just a whole lot of division instead of unity, even though we're all American citizens. So I see that it went over your head, obviously.
For young people. And so the only young people in general that you will ever meet who have houses are young people whose parents help them. And God bless their parents. That's a perfectly great thing to do for your kids. But most people's parents can't afford to do that because they're already in debt from their pointless college degree. So that is a national emergency. And I know that there are certain cable channels that are spending all this time talking about, they're about to elect a socialist in New York City, which obviously I'm opposed to it. He's not even a real socialist. He's like a trainee vax, rich kid liberal guy. Mom Donnie. He's a fake leftist, but whatever. Why do you think that's happening? One of the reasons it's happening is because normal people with normal jobs no longer believe they can win in this system and that all the money is going to the worst people. And no one even stops to ask, what the hell is going on? How did Bill Ackman get so rich? I mean, he went on CNBC and talked down Herbalife. Bet against companies by driving down their stock prices. That's what he's been accused of. I'm not accusing him here because he's sue me if I do. I'm just suggesting others believe that might have happened. He's already threatened to sue me for saying that. But there are plenty of people who do that. And I'm not saying even that it should be illegal. What I'm saying is that our leadership class should say something about it and should assign a moral value to it. And if you're getting rich by loaning money to people at incredibly high interest rates, that's something you're going to have to talk to God about. That is not good. That is not virtuous. That's disgusting. And the fact that nobody feels free to say that, nobody feels like you can just say 30% on a credit card? Why is anybody paying a credit card bill? I said to somebody recently, I feel like I'm very moderate and sensible and, well, yeah, that's what they used to call it. It was forbidden. I said to someone recently, we really need a political party where people just it's the, hey, I'm not paying my credit card bill party. And let's just bring down Citibank. Just not permanently, maybe permanently. But what credit card debt is the single biggest cause of human suffering that I'm aware of in the United States. It's not Iran. Iran's not doing that. Oh, you, a tool of the Ayatollah. No, I'm actually Episcopalian, not Shiite. Not a tool of the Ayatollah. I'm just very committed to observing physical reality and drawing my conclusions.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Everybody was pretty much saying, oh, you're a Qatari agent. Oh, you love the Ayatollah. And it's no, I'm just saying that, maybe bombing Iran might push these guys further towards a nuke and then we'll really be in trouble. And maybe we should have negotiated with these guys in good faith. Maybe. Now, we did take away one of Iran's main negotiating cards. And I'm happy about that. We took a crazy risk and it worked out. I'm cool with it, but I still think that maybe we should have, negotiated in good faith instead of pretending like we did.
From that. I'm what we call a physicalist. I believe in the things right in front of me, the things I can touch and smell. And the people I can touch and smell are suffering not from Iran, not from Qatar, They're suffering from their credit cards and their inability of their kids to buy a house. Yeah. I don't think Dan Crenshaw is sold on this. Dan Crenshaw believes our threats are in other countries. Okay, they may be, but how?
Hey, and shout out Cumin. Hey, how's it going, sis? She says, remember people saying don't raise minimum wage because it will raise costs across the board? Like, what the hell? Has everyone forgotten that it was raised? Yeah, they do. But if you raise it anymore, here's the thing. Minimum wage actually hurts small businesses. Like, if you raise the minimum wage, it hurts small business. Not really the big corporations, because they can actually afford to pay more, to be quite honest with you. And they do. They do, actually. Big corporations do not pay minimum wage. But, you know, McDonald's and all that good stuff, I guess they want those guys to pay more. Your mom and pop shop, they want those guys to pay more, which would hurt them, but it is what it is. It is what, maybe not, it won't hurt McDonald's, but it definitely will hurt your mom and pop shops or your small businesses. But they don't care about that. I mean, well, that, and when they think about, you know, raising the minimum wage, the way the left thinks about it, or I say majority of the left, it kind of is like a I can't think past Friday mentality. It's like, do you know where this is going to lead?
How are they bigger than credit card interest? So I suggest to this person, who's a really good guy, I was like, hey, why don't we start, I'm not going to pay my credit card bill party, or I'm not going to pay.
And shout out to my man, Doesn't Matter. It's important to remember that both the black and white pieces are on a chessboard are most bitter enemies, but quite often the player who maneuvers the pieces are the best friends. Hey, man, I mean, that was a bar. That's a bar. Man, shout out, man. Hey, bro, shout out. That was a nice one. Doesn't matter.
Pay my mortgage. You know, because they always say, like, if the very rich, if you borrow enough from a bank, you're kind of in charge of the bank because they need you to pay them back. So they're totally happy to negotiate terms with you. But if you borrow a little bit from the bank, they'll just take your house away. So what if people got together and just decided, wait a second, 30% interest is a lot, especially since they're pushing credit cards on kids like crack. And I know that conservatives are always like, well, it's your fault if you don't pay back the credit card. Yeah, okay, it's my fault, but maybe it's a little bit their fault too. They're pushing this crap on kids. So I say to this guy, maybe just people get together, not like everybody, but just a couple million people are not going to pay our credit cards, and just like bring the bank to its knees, and the CEO weeps on television, they readjust it down a little bit. And he goes, oh, no, that's radical. That's too radical. And I'm like, I don't think I'm very radical. I think I'm like very moderate, super moderate. I hate change. My parents got divorced. I hate change. I like things to be exactly the same every day. I'm not radical. What I am is very worried that if we don't do something really soon, we're going to wind up like New York City. That there's going to be actual radicalism. And that radicalism will take very unhelpful forms. And you're going to see race and ethnic hatred that's real. And that you're going to see people behaving in hard to control ways.
All I'm going to say for the people of New York, like, if you guys actually vote in Zoran Mandani as your mayor, I mean, yo, live with it. Live with it. If things go to hell, stay right there because you voted for it. But if you do leave and you go to a red state or a state that isn't so crazily ran, please leave your bad voting policies behind. Understand that your voting policies would help destroy NYC, and maybe you should stay out of voting other people's, elections. Just because, your voting can't be trusted because of what happened in New York. And this is if you guys vote in Zoran Mandani, and if it goes terribly, which if you do, it will, I'll give it 80% will go terribly. 80%, guys. So I don't think you guys want to test it. I will go back to Eric Adams, or you could try it out a Republican for once. I don't know. See how that works out for you.
If you deny people what they actually want long enough and instead substitute things that you claim they should want, like bombing Iran, I'm not for Iran, where you spend all day telling me that it's so important that, boys not playing girls' soccer teams, whatever. I agree. I hate the tranny stuff passionately. I think you should keep the boys off girls' soccer teams. But I don't know. It kind of feels like you're feeding me appetizers. At some point, I want to look around and see a better country. I want to see a country I recognize. I don't want to see people sleeping on the sidewalk. I don't see people ODing on drugs. I want to know where those drugs coming from.
Here's the thing, though. What's so sad about it? Like, even if Zoran comes in, he put in his socialist ideas. Even if it fails, you guys on the left will still say no. It just wasn't done right. No, Zohan didn't do socialism right. He was never a real socialist. No, he was. Just socialism doesn't work. And you guys don't want to admit it. And when it fails, you guys like, no, it wasn't done on a grander scale. If we put it on a bigger scale, guys, it could have worked. You guys are delusional about socialism, even though throughout history it's failed. But for some reason, you guys think that we got the the magical economy to do socialism. We don't. Okay, we're no different than any other economy throughout time that got down with the idea of that, oh, well, capitalism is the way, or this whole country is going to go to shit.
Why can't you stop it? You've got the U.S. military. Don't you have SEAL Team 6? Like, what are they doing today? Don't you have Delta Force? You could give me another segment about how impressive the U.S. military is? I believe you. Why aren't they employed to make my country better? Why are my cities disgusting? I don't want to go there. It smells like weed and halal food. And you're lecturing me about how it's a great moral victory that I kicked the boys off the girls' soccer team. Good, I'm so glad. But let's do the real stuff, like making New York livable and create an economy where my kids can have kids. How about this? How about we just make the measure really super simple? Can my children have without the benefit of like the great luck I have had, can they have a roughly approximate life that I had? Or how about just a middle-class life? Can they like get married young, as I did, and like have 4 kids and, take a couple jobs, work hard and all that stuff? But in the end, it's like, fine. Can they do that? Or is that like so remote a possibility?
Whoa, Tucker, you said take a couple jobs. I mean, bro, these people want to just be able to work one job and support everything. Which, I mean, depending on their education level and what they're doing, they should. But we got people out here who want to work a low-skilled job, work 40 hours at that low-skilled job and be able to support him, a family, kids, and all that. And if he can't do that, then the system is unfair. And I'm just like, no, you're just a loser. Sorry. Like, even Tucker Carlson was saying, like, bro, even under better economic time, this man still had to work 2 jobs. Bro, even my parents will even say, yo, we were paying for gas less. Like, we had things cheaper than you guys do, but we were still working our ass off. It's only today where we feel like, oh, well, we should be doing less work, but get more. It's like, bro, what type of generation we living in, man?
Possibility that you need to tell me that Iran is the real threat. Take my mind off the fact that you stole all the money and screwed up my country beyond recognition. So I guess what I would say before I have an actual aneurysm is, unless we say to the people in charge, we are going to determine what's important, you need to listen to us, your voters, about what we actually care about. I'll take a lecture for about 10 minutes. I can do that. I went to school. I'm used to sitting there and being like, oh, yeah, okay, the Axis powers, that's so important. Thank you for telling me. I can take a lecture for about 10 minutes, and they're like telling me Iran is the greatest sponsor of terrorism. Okay, that's great. I hate Iran, got it. But at some point, I want to pipe up and say, yeah, but...
No, more like the people say, nah, back in the 80s, the 60s and 80s. No, I'm talking about early 90s, early 2000s. That's the time I'm talking about. I mean, where gas was basically $1. Like, guys, I was around and walking. I was like out there looking at the world and all that. Like, things were definitely cheaper. Rent was definitely cheaper. I mean, everything was cheaper back in the day. We're talking about 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. And before, and this whole housing thing crash happened. And then ever since then, I'm gonna be real with you, prices have kind of been on the up and up. But hey, that's just the way it works, I guess.
What are you gonna do about Union Station in Washington, D.C., which is filled with passed out?
But no, you guys complaining about the 60s and the 80s. No, guys, even back in the 90s and the 2000s, trust me, people were talking about, well, we had a better economy, but we still got to work 2 jobs. Honestly, I would say this. If you honestly think that all you got to do is work that one job with low skill, no education or anything, I mean, you're crazy. You're crazy. You didn't put enough hard work to get that luxury of just working one job for 40 hours and being able to take care of a whole family. You ain't work hard enough for that.
Drug addicts with spreading urine stains. Like, it wasn't that way. I was here. How did that happen? And why aren't you fixing it? And by the way, if you don't fix it or even acknowledge it, dude, bad things could happen. Like, wake up. Time is to wake up out of your freaking fantasy world where you think telling the rest of us to shut up is enough. If you keep doing that, You know, this could go in dark direction. So I think it's so important for every person to look around and make your own decisions about what's important. What's important to you? What around you in your life? What do you see in your family, among your friends, in the town that you live in that's going wrong? Those are the biggest problems. Not what some shill on television is telling you your biggest problems are. He can shut up, but he won't. But look around. What's the biggest problem in your life? And if you're burdened by a car loan or some credit card payment you can never actually make, if you can't afford to make the full payment on your credit card 2 months in a row, that's a crisis, okay? That's a crisis. If you're in the hole to DraftKings to a point where you can't pay. No, I'm serious.
No. Let's be real though. DraftKings is sinister. Like, these guys are low key wild as hell. You should, if you're using DraftKings, stop it. Stop the gambling. Gambling was never a good thing. It was never supposed to be a habit that we just picked up. You should honestly stop gambling because you can never beat the house, and if you start winning too much, DraftKings is going to limit your account, so there is no beating it. Nothing, and they're just going to give you wild ass parlays that you can never truly win. So let's be real, guys. This whole gambling stuff, it's an addiction that you need to take care of, or else you just lose all your life savings and possibly your family. But hey, if you're okay with that, then hey, keep it going, guys. Keep going.
These are huge problems, and most of them are money related. And if they're not solved, you're not getting married, and you're not having children, and you're not going to have a happy, fulfilling life, period. And they tell you, oh, it's all about values. Yeah, okay, values. You can't afford a house? I don't care what your values are like. You're not having 4 kids in an apartment. So you need to be heard on that. And anyone who tells you, oh, shut up, racist, hoist the middle finger and tell them, keep talking to me that way, pal, and we'll punish you. Anyway, sorry, excuse me. Do we have any hostile questions about Qatar? Yes. Well, that's so nice. Tell your mom I love you or her. Okay, your mom does too. Any questions? Yes, sir. What do I think about amnesty for farm workers? I think it's the most grotesque thing I've ever heard. Are you joking?
I said the same thing.
Amnesty for farm workers?
I didn't say it was the grossest thing I've ever heard. I just said that, no, I think we need to be consistent across the board. They came here illegally. It don't matter if they're working on a farm. And let's be real, the farmers who are complaining about their farm help is not paying their farm help like minimum wage. They're paying them below minimum wage. So if you're saying that we funded a farming industry based off low wages, low slave wages built on the backs of illegals, yeah, we need to get rid of that. I don't even think they should even get that luxury. I don't care. Let them go out there and pay some 14, 16-year-old to pick the fruits and the cotton and all that wild stuff. The cotton. But yeah, let them go out there and do that. Let them be their summer job. A lot of 14-year-olds that need to get to work. And 14, 15, you can go out there and start picking fruits. And if you're in North Carolina, maybe a little bit of cotton.
We have like 60 million illegal aliens in the country. The country bears no resemblance to the country I grew up in, and it's not better, it's worse. Yell at Tucker. So I'm not going to sit for another lecture from...
I ain't gonna lie. You know, one of the other reasons why we were so prosperous as a nation back in the day, you know, kids used to work a lot sooner. They used to be helping hands-on. It's only in today's world we want our kids to just sit there and be spoiled as hell on an iPad and not do shit. And then we're proud of the fact that we were able to afford that luxury to our kid when we really just spoiled their ass for life. So yeah, I'm okay with actually sending these kids back out into the workforce because that's what actually built like responsible kids, and it low-key stabilized the family income. I mean, hey, I know a lot of people that I grew up with that had to pay bills at 14, 15 years old, and they're better adults for it. Why? Because their parents made them go out there, get a job, and they said, oh, you want to live here? Great, give me some of that paycheck. Like, man.
Anybody telling me we need to import more people to write code or pick grapes or any other task, period. It hasn't worked. The country hasn't gotten richer. It hasn't become more unified.
I mean, your parents made you do chores. Are they pro-child labor?
Those words should burn on the tongue of anyone who utters them. How dare you talk like that?
Yes,
amnesty.
I did. How about actually? Yes, I was moving tires. I was moving tires at 14. I was moving big metal appliances out of a goddamn back of a truck. What, for like $100? Why? Because I'm 14, 15. I want a little money in my pocket. I ain't trying to be like the rest of these brokies around me that was 14, 15, not doing shit. I wanted to do shit. So it's like, bro, it's easy. Yes, I was 14 years old, helping my dad work, helping his friends get some work done. I was out there literally trying to find work to do. Like, not like these lazy ass bastards of today.
Deportation. What about that? I mean,
look, that's what I'm saying, Michelle. It's like maybe it's just our generation. Like, I'm like, bro, I'm just 30. I'm 30. So maybe it's back in our day where it was just like cool for kids to work. Like, we got chores. I mean, what? Your parents love child labor too? So I get all the heat, but your parents don't get no heat for making you clean your room and go what? Rake the leaves, mow the grass, shovel the snow. Okay, but I get all the blame. All right. But I love child labor. Okay. At least I'm honest.
And let me just say, people say all kinds of things. It doesn't mean it's happening. But I think it's worth being a little paranoid about it. I mean, I think everyone in this room is paranoid.
Okay, then you definitely understand what I'm saying. You definitely understand.
It's important to make sure
more than me,
even the people you love are true to their word. Doesn't mean you hate them. Again, I don't take my kids at their. I love my kids more than anything. I don't automatically believe everything they tell me.
Bro, are you dumb?
Because I'm not a moron.
Bro, are you dumb? Yeah, F school. Go to work when you're 10. I said, well, honestly, 13. Why not? F it. You're hitting puberty. You can go out there and get it. But no, bro. When I said, did you not work a summer job in high school? Like, what's going on here? Am I dealing with a bunch of lazy ass kids? Like, what are y'all all little boys? Like, y'all crying about kids working? Like, what? Like, dog, these kids want to work. I remember when I was 14, I was anxious to want to get out there and start making some money and saving up for cars and other stuff. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, a kid's going to feel very proud working, knowing that they can get things for themselves through their own hard work, and it makes them appreciate money. Like, what, you just want to spoil your kid and give them that iPad? Like, shit. I'm just saying, guys. I feel like the guys that are like my age and over kind of understand what I'm getting at here.
Because they understand that people don't always say the truth. So, but anyway, yeah, any kind of amnesty is not only a bad idea, it's like outrageous. Anyway, sorry, I've been told to take the mics. I'm sorry, I know you guys have good provocative questions about Qatar, but I've been asked to talk to this guy.
How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm spun up, baby.
First off, I'd like to thank you for coming to this event. I'm 20 years old. I've been watching you for the past 12 years of my whole life, every single night. I've always listened to you, so thank you for coming. We love to listen to your opinions, listen to you preach basically to everyone. My question is, in your opinion, we have individuals in this country that are full citizens that are also full citizens of other countries. In your opinion, how can somebody pledge allegiance to two countries at the same time? And is that something that we should be allowing?
I mean, I think your question says it all. Obviously, that's absurd. I quote the New Testament, but I also refer to common sense when I say that no man can serve two masters. It's not possible. I only have one wife for that reason. You say to your wife, I'm going to take another wife, but I'm going to love you just as much. Nothing's going to change. My wife's going to look at me like, no, it's one wife, because you can only really pledge your loyalty to one person or one country. That's just a fact. And there's also a sense, and this is relevant to me, and I know you're speaking about Israel, but it's not just Israel, to be honest. I think it's a huge.
And shout out Misfit Supervisor, aka Qmich. All these adults are afraid for teens to work, for real. Like, man, that is wild to me, though. It's like, hold on. You know, back in the day, kids working was kind of helped out your average family. Like, that's just so weird to me. I don't really think I never thought for a second that, you know what, maybe if I just put an iPad in front of a kid all day, maybe hopefully they'll become a programmer instead of putting a kid in front of a computer and buying him a programming lesson. Like, I know there's somebody literally saying, well, maybe they don't get an iPad and they'll learn how to become a programmer. You sound stupid. I'm be honest with you. No, You put a kid in front of a computer, a laptop, buy him or buy a programming simulation or a programming software and let them figure that out. Let them figure out Python, Java, and all that good stuff. And come on now. Like, that's how you get it done. Bro, I'm fearing for these kids, man. If this is how some of y'all adults are really talking right now, I'm fearful for the next generation of kids.
Problem. I think anybody, by the way, who serves in a foreign military should lose his citizenship immediately. There are a lot of Americans who've served in the IDF. They should lose their citizenship. There's a lot of Americans who've served in Ukraine, and they should lose their citizenship. You can't fight for another country and remain an American, period. Obviously. I mean, it's like not even, it's so funny how all of us have been cowed into being like, oh, that's hate speech.
I don't.
No, it's not. You don't hear hate in my voice.
I don't. I work. So, yeah, I work, my friend. Like, and then the bro is going like, oh, like, bro, just take your L. I'm like, no, guys, you take your L. You're a lazy bastard and you know it. I think I just low-key hurt y'all feelings, to be real with you. It's like, I just exposed you in front of this entire chat how some of y'all are lazy and some of y'all are just computer kids or gaming kids who ain't never had to do no hard work. That's the fact of the matter. I mean, you are honestly lesser than your predecessors, lesser than the generation before you, because you're a bunch of lazy bastards who just sit on the computer and game all day. Like, yeah, you know what? Now I really am for child labor now. Let's get these kids off the goddamn game and let's put them in the fucking field. Why not?
Boys, because there isn't any.
My language.
It's just an obvious recognition of the truth. But there's a more insidious thing. And I say it's not just Israel. I'm not just trying to like give myself cover. I'm being honest. There are a ton of countries that offer citizenship, actually, some of which I love. I have been offered citizenship in a couple of different countries that I really like. And I thought about it. And then I thought, no, there's something about being lashed to the mast. Like, everyone can see that America's in trouble. The demographic trends are really bad. And the country's decaying and cities are falling apart. So you're like, oh, wow, you know, maybe I should flee. And then I'm like, my ancestors are from here. My parents are buried right across from my kitchen. I'm staying here. And the second you make that decision in your head, like, I don't care what happens to America, I will be here. It totally changes your attitude. You're like, I don't even care. It's my country. And they've been here for so long and fought in all of these wars. My ancestors, and I'm sure yours, would be totally shocked by some of the conversations. Foreign flags in the Congress? Are you joking? Get out. And so, no, once you decide you're all in on your country, it really changes the way you approach everything. And by the way, it should be the baseline requirement. You shouldn't be allowed to serve in government if you're not a US citizen or you're a dual citizen. Are you joking? Of course not. And I would love to know what the justification is. And of course, there isn't one, which is why they're allowed to just write you off as some sort of like freak, some internet freak, hater, Nazi, whatever. No, I'm not. Just an American who loves my country, and I think it's fair to demand that the people running my country love it every bit as much as I do.
All right, alrighty, Tucker. Thank you for being here today. My question is mainly focused on national security. I have a question first, and then a proposal. I'll see how you go about that.
Now you're freaking me out. You got a Rumble hat on. I love you already. All right. I'm going to stop and have an Alp, which is America's premier nicotine powder.
Go for it. All righty. So I was born in Cuba. I came at the age of 2. So I can attest to the fact that the socialist experiment doesn't work at all.
Yep.
And that America is the best country in the world.
Yep.
So
I agree.
You know,
I swear to God, white guys love they dip, bro. I had a mixed biracial friend, right? Love this guy to death, bro. This man loved dip. And every time he tell me, like, bro, yeah, this is my white side right here. I was like, bro, the dip, man, the dip, bro. I remember I tried that thing one time and had my head spinning.
I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm very proud of that. And that's why I stand for my country every day. But I have a question specifically about national security.
All right, hit me with it, baby. No preamble. Just go right to it. You can't scare me.
So, for example, I would say that the head of the snake for a lot of the spying that goes on in the United States is Cuba. For example, we've found evidence that Venezuela, Nicaragua, like all the issues with immigration are because of the socialism going on in Latin America.
Yes.
And Cuba's an outpost for human trafficking, drug trafficking. We have Chinese spy bases on the island. We had Russian missile testing under Biden. And then on top of that, Cuba doesn't even recognize Gitmo as American territory. So my question for you is, what should the United States stance be on Cuba and the liberation thereof? And my proposal is, if you're willing to do some sort of documentary on Cuba, and if I could help you out on that.
Well, I always appreciate
Alex, your money making and my advocacy for children working on farms does not correlate. Actually, making money and advocating for children working on farms has no correlation whatsoever. I mean, you know what, my man, go ahead and take a nice little seat. I'm gonna give you a little 600-second rest, so you can chill out from your TDS for a little bit. Because my man, I mean, you know what, you ain't been that bad. So I'm gonna give your ass 3 Kool-Aid packs. Yep, 3 Kool-Aid packs, Sinai included, my friend, because you are part of that TDS cult, the leftist cult. And here's your Kool-Aid packs to go right along with your cultish ideas. Go ahead and sip it slowly.
The offer of assistance. I would say we've had a Cuba embargo. So the revolution was 1959. So that was, well, 60. Could that really be 66 years ago? That's crazy. And we've had an embargo for much of that time. And you just said yourself, it hasn't worked. It hasn't liberated Cuba. The same regime is in charge. And it is still, working to undermine the interests of the United States. So what we're doing isn't working. I think that's a good place to start. So I know from living in DC that whenever someone tells you like, it's not working, we need to double down on it, they're lying. So I think we need to reassess, are sanctions really the answer? And if so, tell me how that's worked. Second, I would say, I'm sure.
Hold on, I accidentally missed the super chat. I apologize. Shout out Rose69. Yeah. Oh, he said you are, well, he or she, well, you are a refreshing voice compared to another one I have seen on here. Thank you. Well, hopefully you're not talking about my man Jolin or anything like that. Apparently everybody likes to kind of compare me to him since I do the call-ins and all that good stuff. But I definitely do appreciate that support though. Appreciate it.
Everything you say is true. I don't think that most Americans, and I know the US government doesn't, spend a lot of time thinking about our own hemisphere because we're so focused on places like Iran, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Gaza, Israel, all great places. I'm not, attacking anybody, but I'm just saying those are thousands of miles in an ocean away, whereas Latin America is right there. And what happens there is a direct effect here in our migration patterns and in our drug importation. So like, maybe we should focus on our own hemisphere. I think you made a powerful case for that. And I don't understand why the US military is stationed in Japan, Korea. I mean, I know that you get a long answer, how we're spending $1 trillion to secure places that pose no imminent threat to us while ignoring our own continent, ignoring Mexico, which is the most hostile country in the world, the United States. Obviously, there's migrants coming through Mexico.
I mean, I can hear that argument. They are kind of just letting their citizens leave their country, run across our border, and then these guys have the nerve to say, oh, well, this was once Mexico, so how dare you guys try to send us back? Like, are you serious? Why don't y'all tell Mexico to bring their ass over here and fight us about it? And if they lose, we're taking all of Mexico. I thought so.
How are they our ally? Canada, how are they our ally? Maybe we should spend some time
Nah, Canada is a bit wild, though, because they do work with the CCP. They do work with the Chinese Communist Party, which is wild as hell, but they're one of our friends, right? Unfair trade policies, work with one of our biggest enemies, but they're our friends, guys.
Orienting here. So anyway, that's my answer. I mean, I'm against socialism, obviously. That's why I'm worried about our economic system, because I think we're going to about to get socialism if we don't pull back from this.
All right, we got one more question.
One more question.
Hey, Tucker, I'm a big fan. I would love to work for you. I did give my resume to Steve Bannon. It would be hilarious if you two fought over me. I'm just saying. That would be great.
It'd be like a real bitchy cat fight.
It'd be a hell of a story. Yeah. My family has fought for this country. I voted MAGA 3 times. My generation, just like you said, is convinced it can't trust the institutions and the administration, even this administration after last Monday. America first means America first, not foreign governments, not rich pedophiles. I have a lot more about the history, but I'm going to get through it out of respect for everybody. Basically, my questions are this. How does anybody possibly expect us to have any trust in our government, pay taxes, accept draft orders if these elites are not held accountable, right? And how am I anti-Semitic? My great-grandfather killed Nazis, and I brag about it. My mother's doctor was a Holocaust survivor, and everyone calls Trump a Nazi. My family in Chicago and my family in Ireland, which are both liberal hellholes, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty convenient.
But here's the thing, though. It is wild to call Trump a Nazi. And you know, I'm like, all right, well, can you name me anybody that he's killed? Like 6 million people. Name them right now. Name 6 million people that Trump is off. Actually, name the group that he's persecuting right now. Name the group that he's putting in concentration camps, please. Because remember, he's Hitler. So I want a exact comparison. I want you to be able to exactly compare this man. Make me a believer. Well, you can't, but I would like to see you guys try at least. Like, make it make sense.
That if he did criticize Israel, everyone could just say, look, I told you so, but that's not the point. Anyways, and finally, and by how am I anti-Semitic when all my sources are Jewish, Israeli publications, and Holocaust survivors? And finally, and by far the most important, why can I burn an American flag in my country, but I get a mark by my name if I burn Israel's? Like, how?
I think that's an entirely fair question. It's totally outrageous. You got 65 million people here illegally, according.
Hey, bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. He got some cojones for asking this at Turning Point USA. When I do believe a majority of those people on there, I would say maybe like 30 to 40% are Zionists. That's why you heard a very slow clap when he, said all that.
The administration, and the only ones who were deported are ones.
According to Ted Cruz, those who bless Israel are blessed themselves. According to Ted Cruz in the Schofield Bible.
You criticize a foreign country. I don't understand it. It's driving people insane, actually, and it's making people angry in a bad way. And I go on, X, and I see stuff. It's like, I don't even want that in my head. I don't want that. I don't want to marinate in that. I'm a happy person. I have a great life. I love this country. I love my dogs. I love my children. I love my wife. And you go online and people are so mad. I mean, I've never seen anything like the rage online. And I get it. I get it. That's the worst part. I get it. People go crazy after a while. If you totally ignore their concerns, if you call them names rather than answering their questions, I really think we need to agree, and this would include the Department of Justice, which is running around, it's got task forces attacking people. It's like, stop. What matters in this country is not what religion, ethnicity, race you are. It's whether or not you're a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, and here's the thing. There's like one thing that I do not agree. I think it was Mark Rubio who started taking people's green cards away because he was leading the front on it. What's that one kid's name that we locked him up, took him away from his wife because he had a pro-Hamas or anti-Israel rhetoric, right? And I disagreed with that because I'm like, nah, bro, I don't care if he's a green card citizen. I get what you're saying. Oh, you don't got the right to come over here and protest. Well, due to freedom of speech, they kind of do. And if y'all want to start making that a thing, well, you should have started at the beginning. You just can't sit here and watch a green card person protest something that you don't like, and now you want to lock the guy up. It's like, no, that's not fair. Let him out. Let him continue protesting, peacefully protesting, because he's not hurting nobody.
Citizenship has to be the thing that holds us together as a country. We're all Americans. And this continuation of identity politics is the most destructive thing we can do. We are all the same under the law. There is nobody, rich, poor, no matter what your religion, what your color, who's held to a different legal standard, period. That has to be the rule, or else this country will fall apart into warring tribes.
My email is ryanscottcasey@gmail. If I could send you my cover letter, I really.
Ryan Scott Casey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, shout out Tucker. All right, now let's get over to Dershowitz because this was a pretty interesting video that I shared on whoops. Oh, here it is.
Fact that the
But yes, let's get on to Dershowitz because he did come out with some bombshell claims and pretty much going against what Pam Bondi said and making it look like a complete idiot.
Harvard Law Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz has come out with the bombshell claims that he knows for a fact that the Epstein list exists and exactly who is on it. With a hand to God, he says the list is being suppressed to protect the individuals on that list, but he is bound by judge-imposed confidentiality to remain tight-lipped on the details.
Let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed, and they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them, but I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them, and that's wrong.
Commentator Bill O'Reilly agreed, saying the list was suppressed to protect reputations of innocent Epstein associates.
I talked to President Trump man to man, eye to eye, on St. Patrick's Day about this and the Kennedy files and the King files. It was all one conversation. And he said, and I agree, there are a lot of names associated with Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct. They maybe had lunch with him or maybe had some correspondence for one thing or another. If that name gets out, those people are destroyed because there's not going to be any context. Media doesn't care about context. So you can't do that. You can't destroy human beings by putting out the files, whatever they may be.
He then went on to demand that all information be released after he was wrongly accused.
We want total transparency on this. Every single document, no redaction. That's what I've said from day one. I waive any of my rights to privacy. Anything there is about me, I'm happy because it will be exculpatory, because I know I haven't touched a woman other than my wife from the day I met Jeffrey Epstein. I don't even hug people, but I was falsely accused and I was able to prove it. And I was able to prove it through documents. And I want other people to be able to disprove false accusations through documents. But these documents are being suppressed and withheld.
Online commentators joined the professor in demanding answers, with this person saying, "Sounds like the swamp runs deep. Transparency is key here. Otherwise, it's just more cover-up talk." Dershowitz's revelation comes after a very tough week for the Trump administration. Pam Bondi has come under fire for her unclear communication in relation to the Epstein case, which she clumsily tried to backtrack on, now saying the files will never be released.
In February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent.
Commentators and the public have not responded well to Bondi's groveling response, with even conservatives like Megyn Kelly demanding answers.
I think she was thirsty for attention. I think she was enjoying the hits on Fox, on Hannity, on Waters, in the middle of the day with John Roberts, and saying, like, I've got all the answers on Epstein. I've got all the juicy dish, and I'll be the one to give it to you, until she either found out that wasn't true and realized this is why attorneys general don't talk like this ever about their ongoing investigations, ever. You almost never hear from attorney general. It's the one person in any administration, Republican or Democrat, who you really can't get. There's only so much transparency you're supposed to get.
I'll give her this. I'll give Pam Bondi a little bit of slack. Maybe due to, the emergence of social media and all these crazy things that you can get, like podcasts and all that crazy stuff. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't popping back in the day. So AGs weren't just able to hop out on a podcast and talk about everything, but they were always allowed to come out on the news, and not a lot of them did that. So I do hear her point. Maybe Pam should have kept her mouth shut so people can't use what she said against her. And I mean, they're using it rightfully so.
Attorney General, given the way criminal investigations work, and then realized like she had an oh shit moment of she's humiliated herself and the administration. Or again, I don't know, something else. Or it was real in the first place, and now she's doing the lying. This, I don't know the truth on.
And this commentator agreed, demanding impeachment, saying Pam Bondi said she had a truckload of Epstein files delivered to her. She said the public has a right to know. Now she says there are no files, and closed the case.
Bruh.
This is an impeachable offense. Impeach Pam Bondi. She lied to the people. The usually unflappable Donald Trump was also under scrutiny this week after his attempt to sweep the Epstein case under the rug, despite many questions still being asked.
Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, one, I would like to see proof that she lied, but I'm not even gonna say that she lied. She could have just been given the wrong. I mean, she could have been given bad information, and she just reported it. And now everybody's looking at her like a dumbass because we all know that that's not true, and it's most definitely a cover up. So I can't straight out say that Pam Bondi is lying to us, but I would say that, she should have did the due diligence of checking what the public knows and what they know and see if that lines up, and did further due diligence into checking off those points. If I was Pam Bondi and I was going to sit there and try to disprove this whole Epstein narrative, I'd have went down list by list. I'd been like, all right, this is why he's not a blackmailer. This is why he's not a massage agent. This is why he's not a human trafficker. I'd have broke it down line by line. If you're not willing to do that, then we cannot believe you. Like, let's just be real. And shout out Michelle Glass. She says, there's some reason these people did this. It's bigger than we know. I feel it in my bones. When we are ones, when we are ones, they can't stop us. I mean, I get what I hear you. And shout out Michelle. Because you're right. Because you're most definitely right. I do feel something wrong in my bones. I mean, me and Dave was having this wild speculation of what happened if, and I wouldn't agree with this, but what if Trump is actually using the Epstein files to, I don't know, get senators to flip in his, in his direction. Like with the big, beautiful bill, how he had all these grandstanders, a couple people that said they weren't voting. Then all of a sudden, everybody's just going to vote yes. And we only got one guy who voted no. I mean, hey, or what he did with NATO. Somehow he pulled up to NATO. And everybody said this was amazing, that in fact he was able to pull up to NATO, not only to start getting these countries to pay that 2%, but increase it to 5% in military spending. And then while they're increasing their military spending, they're going to spend that money with the U.S. I mean, that's some next level negotiation, or maybe you got some next level information.
Former Labor Secretary who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency.
Now, I don't really believe that Trump is using the Epstein files. It's just wild speculation here, and it's fun. I'm going to be real with you. It is fun to think things like this.
So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the
Yeah, sure. If I
Could I just interrupt for a second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this.
And shout out to Doesn't Matter. He says, to the left here in the live stream and chat, thank you for being here and providing pushbacks. Conservatives need this to help challenge our ideas and shape our arguments. Can we find common ground? I always do try to. Doesn't matter. I always do. And I'll always be happy to have, the left come up here, debate their points and all that good stuff. And sometimes we do find common ground. Like, trust me, I always do say, like, we find common ground in the issues. Like, we can both agree that there's an affordability problem. Like, bro, us on the conservatives and the liberal, we'll both sit here and agree, like, yeah, there's an affordability problem, but how we fix it is two different ideologies. So we can always find common ground on the issues, but when it comes to the solution, there does seem to be a bit of a difference. Most of the time.
Yes, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure.
Roseanne Barr unleashed on Trump, saying, Mr. President, yes, we still care about Epstein. Is there a time to not care about child sex trafficking? Read the damn room. And this sentiment seems to be bipartisan, with commentator Natalie Winters demanding transparency also.
We've already passed debacle territory, but just outright grift. And that's probably not something that you would expect me to say, but this is just absolutely reprehensible. I think if you look at what really the MAGA base, the people who elected President Trump, what their sort of concerns have been these past few months is that the administration is not moving fast enough, right? They're not content with the press releases and the tweets. They want to see prison sentences and actual accountability for people that they believe committed crimes. Now we've hit the point where we're not even getting the press releases or the strongly worded letters.
And all right, now let's go on to BB's well, I say his meeting with the press, because this man had a lot to say. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes when I listen to Netanyahu, it does kind of, well, piss me off. And no, not because he's Jewish or a war criminal or Israeli. No, none of that. It's just that it's just that this man does not seem to really want peace. He doesn't seem to actually want that. He'll tell us one thing in our face, and then he'll go speak Hebrew in Israel and say something completely different.
Mr. Prime Minister, nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Greta.
Mr. Prime Minister, we spoke shortly after October 7th. I was in Israel. It's now been about 642 days since those hostages were first taken. A number are still there. Can you tell me anything about their condition and what it's been like for them?
Well, it's been hell. We had 255 hostages that were taken, grandmothers and their grandchildren, Holocaust survivors, babies.
And now, if you want, like, oh, why did Hamas even take the hostages? Well, Hamas thought that they were going to be able to get some of their hostages back. That Israeli enforcement done locked up kids, women with no charges, no court date, no due process, just locked their ass up. And Hamas is like, well, maybe we take some of your guys, you'll get back some of ours. And this is kind of why Israel has this whole dead hand initiative, because they know that, well, for one Jewish life, they're going to have to give up a whole bunch of Palestinians. And here's the thing. There's no guarantee that they're not also giving up, well, giving up women and children, I'm cool with. But then giving up Hamas soldiers or, the military age men that go back to fight, now that is a problem. And I do got to call that out.
Murdered quite a few of them, but we got most of them out. We got 205 out, 147 of them alive. We have 50 left, 20 definitely alive, and some 30 that are not alive. And I want to take them all out. We now have a deal that supposedly will get half of the living and half of the dead out. And so we'll have 10 living left and about 12 deceased hostages. But I'll get them out too. I hope we can complete it in a few days.
As I hear you talk about we're going to get half of them out, and I think to myself, the first thing is the cruelty of Hamas, which, I don't want to...
Hey, and shout out to Laughable Panda. It hurts to know that some don't do their research. That is the fact of the matter. And trust me, when it comes to this whole Israel and Gaza stuff, I try to be as unbiased as possible. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, and a lot of people speak on this from lack of knowledge. And I think there's a good example of why would you want peace with a country that murders your people, women, and children, and wants to wipe your kind off the face of the earth? Well, my man, you would actually have to look into the truth of the Palestinian and Israeli conflict going all the way back to 1948. And you tell me, if you kick people off their land and then continue persecuting and killing them, what attitude you think they're going to have towards you? I'm just saying, let's just keep it real. Not that I support what Hamas is doing at all. No, I don't support October 7th. But I can see the forces that pushed them to October 7th.
Of course, you know that everybody knows it. But the idea is that they're using these humans as they have historically, and they only give them half, and they've been 642 days. And
but I will be real with you guys. I don't think this ceasefire is going to happen because now Hamas, there's two things they want Hamas to do. Release the hostages. Hamas shown they're okay with doing that. But then the second part was kind of like, the trip up. They want Hamas to de-arm. Yes, to give up their guns, their weapons, just de-arm. And if they look back at Gaddafi and see how that worked out for that man, I think they're going to be hitting us with the, yeah. So I don't think they're going to be going for that. And then that just might start up the war all over again. Because let's be real, every time there's been a ceasefire, well, Israel's broken that ceasefire just like they did with Lebanon about a couple weeks ago.
Making them suffer and their families.
Well, they're monsters. What they do to them and the stories we get are horrible. So obviously we are, it's not easy for us and we're doing it. We'll probably have a 60-day ceasefire, get the first batch out, and then use the 60 days to try to negotiate an end to this. And this could end tomorrow. Today, Hamas lays down its arms, okay? We eliminate it as a fighting force and a governing force in Gaza that oppresses its people, targets our people, our civilians, and uses their civilians as human shields. And then they complain that the civilian losses are.
You know, the human shield argument, I stopped hearing that argument when I found out that they bombed 34 buildings and they said, well, Hamas was hiding in them. I'm like, and then actually, I really stopped believing it when they said, oh, when I found out they eliminated 70% of Gaza, but leveled 70% of Gaza. And then they say, well, you know, Hamas was hiding behind it. So Hamas was hiding in the house, in the store next to it, in the building next to that, and the building next to that. And they was hiding in all 34 hospitals. Like, bruh, at a certain point, you're going to have to start proving this to us. We just can't go off the, oh, well, Hamas is using human shields. I'm like, bro, let international reporters in there and show us that. Show us something instead of just saying, oh, they're using human shields, and all we get is a whole bunch of dead civilians and women and children. Like, what? Like, sorry, the excuse is just not hitting the same.
Because of us. No, we say to the civilians, leave the war zone. You know, we send them text messages, telephone calls, millions, pamphlets. And Hamas says, you don't go. You try to leave the war zone, we'll shoot you. And they shoot them because they want the pictures of dead civilians that they are causing put on Israel's head. And that's what you get.
I mean, the dead civilians that they're causing put on Israel's head. I mean, bro, Hamas is not flying Israeli planes, or it is not flying. Yeah, they're not flying Israeli planes and dropping bombs. Hamas is not behind the guns that the Israelis shoot. I mean, it's the IDF. I mean, I don't even know how you make that work, G. But I get what he's saying, though, by this. He's like, oh, well, the reason why we're bombing them and some of our people are getting hurt, well, this is what Hamas wants to do. They want to create a bad picture of Israel. Then why are you feeding into Hamas? I always did say, I mean, you could easily did a surgical strike on these guys, went in boots on the ground without having to bomb entire buildings on the grounds that these civilians were or Hamas is hiding behind civilians. I mean, when you bombed the school, was that it? Was Hamas there? Like Rafa, you know, like, oh, Hamas was there. Oh, now you're shooting at them while they're trying to get food. Why? Oh, because Hamas is there? Because Hamas is just hiding behind these guys. But I ain't never seen Hamas hiding out behind one of these people. And I want to believe y'all, but you ain't showing me nothing. So right now, it just looks like y'all bombing Palestinians for the hell of it.
TikTok and the social media. Israel is deliberately killing civilians. No, we're not. Hamas is deliberately killing its own people, preventing them from escaping the war zone. So they're monsters.
And I do want to answer this question. He said, no Arab country will not want. Egypt does not take Hamas, or I'm sorry, but Egypt don't take a Palestinians. One, Egypt is suffering from overpopulation. So even if you wanted to put them in them UN camps, those Palestinians cannot get any resources because they're in overpopulation. That means there's a scarcity of resources for that said population of Egyptians. So they, even though they can afford to shelter the Palestinians, they wouldn't be able to feed said Palestinians. And here's the wild part. Now they're trying to force Egypt to take them in with this overpopulation problem, which means the Palestinians would just be sitting there starving in UN camps, barely being able to get really any food. I mean, and then Jordan, well, Jordan don't take them because they're paid off. They're paid for by us in Israel. Let's be real. And then the only country to actually stand up for the Palestinians is, well, was it Yemen, Iran, you know, those who haven't completely sold out to Israel or who accept Israel as a state, which I believe that all of the Middle East should, or all the Middle East shouldn't. Like they should probably be on one page to actually have peace in the Middle East. And it does kind of seem like it's either we're going to make all these guys respect Israel or these guys are just going to dogpile on Israel one day. It all depends on how we take it with them or our military aggression in the future.
But they've taken hostages. Who else has taken hostages? Well, how about the Iranian regime? You know, the Islamist regime, when they first formed their vile tyranny, what's the first thing they did? They took American hostages in the American embassy. Remember that?
In 1979.
Yeah, well, this is part of the Iranian doctrine. This is part of the Iranian evil axis. They take hostages. They try to extort with blackmail, terror, and intimidation the free societies like Israel and the United States. And we face them down and we'll beat them. We just did.
Well, you know, it's an easy answer to end.
No, most definitely, though. Israel definitely beat Hamas. It's just the whole hostage situation and getting them to dearm. And sadly, Hamas ain't giving up. Because, like, even what was it? Like, well, I think it was about 2 days ago. I think 5 Israeli soldiers was taken out. But 100 Palestinians were killed the day before that.
This for Hamas. First of all, I shouldn't have done it on October 7th. That's for starters. Secondly, had they surrendered, if they surrendered, but they won't surrender.
No,
they don't surrender.
You think so? There are Palestinians now who are fighting Hamas. Because we weakened them to this point,
Oh, no, that is actually true. There has been a new militant trying to topple Hamas in Gaza. We'll get right back to this man here, and let's go ahead and get over to first post. Let's take the geopolitical spin here, guys. New threat to Hamas rule in Gaza. Yeah, militant steps out from shadows. So I'm pretty sure they're probably supported by us. They're either funded by us, Israel, maybe CIA influence or helped or whatever, because, some militant force stepping out of nowhere when I'm like, bro, where the F was y'all day one? But all right, here we are. New turf war looms in Gaza. But now Gaza is about to be shifted into a civil war because we're over here funding their enemies, most like. Oh, my. You know what? 70-30. I'm 70% sure that that we are in some way funding this new militant group to try to topple Hamas, and now we're basically about to start a war out there. A civil war. I'm sorry, a civil war.
Gaza has been reduced to rubble, but even amid the debris and deaths, a turf war is unfolding. A new group is challenging the Hamas, a militia called the Popular Forces. That's what this group is called, Popular Forces. They're said to have some 300 fighters in their ranks. What's more, they have Israeli support. But will it be enough to topple the Hamas, to end their rule over Gaza? For starters, there is not much to end. The January ceasefire gave the Hamas a chance to regroup, but since the ceasefire ended, it's been relentless. 95% of their senior leaders are dead.
Yeah, I mean, bro, Israel is top notch, bro. They are top notch when it comes to taking out anybody on, any leadership. They took out Hezbollah's leadership with the pagers. They took out Iranians' leadership. They took out Hamas's leadership. I mean, shout out Israel. I'll tell you this, bro. They don't go for the small guys. They hit you at the top.
Top military.
Well, the Mossad, really, because it's really the Mossad who gets them the information on where these leaders are at. Because apparently we knew where the Ayatollah was at during the, bombing of Iran, or when Israel bombed Iran.
Commanders of the Hamas have been killed. They have lost control over 80% of Gaza, so Hamas is on its last leg. They don't have the men or the organization to rule anymore. In their place, multiple gangs have emerged. One of them is being touted as a successor to Hamas, the Popular Forces. This group mainly operates in Rafah. It is led by a man named Yasser Abu Shahab. He used to smuggle drugs into Gaza. Before October 7th, he had been jailed.
So a drug smuggler. So somebody who smuggled drugs into Gaza is standing up to Hamas. So what the hell, man? Why does it sound like the cartel trying to take over the government or something? We're about to trust the drug smuggler overruling Gaza? Oh, okay. And then when October 7th happened all over again, we're going to act surprised, right?
By the Hamas. He says he's not party to any conflict. He says he's not a professional fighter. Instead, his goal is to protect Gazans from Hamas looting. That's what he says. His goal is basically to end Hamas rule.
Okay.
But can he do it? Well, Abu Shahab spoke to Israeli TV recently. He said he was coordinating with Israel. The Popular Forces, his group, later denied that such an interview ever took place.
Yeah, somebody's paying for them. No, somebody's definitely paying for. How the hell is Hamas over there in rags and AKs, and your ass got full military equipment, headgear on, you got the vest and all that good stuff, nice little guns. Yeah, you're being paid for. You're funded but by who though? It's either us or somebody else.
The Popular Forces, his group, later denied that such an interview ever took place. But the game is pretty evident. Israel is propping up this group, and it's an old strategy. In Lebanon, Israel propped up Christian militias. In Gaza, they propped up the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yep.
In both cases,
I mean, yeah, that's all. That's crazy. Like, we prop up the guys who just attack us later. It's like, when will we learn our lesson?
the goal was the same: create new power centers to weaken your rivals. In Gaza, Israel wanted to weaken the Palestinian Authority, hence they supported the Muslim Brotherhood. But that same Muslim Brotherhood morphed into Hamas.
Yes, it
Years
did.
later, they're doing it again.
Yeah, after Benjamin Netanyahu gave Hamas $1 billion in U.S. money, cold dollars, sent them a car full of cash in U.S. money, so they could have used that and bought weapons anywhere in the world because we are the world currency. I mean, well, shout out to us. It's a good and bad thing sometimes. Well, in that matter, it was.
Israel wants to get rid of Hamas rule in Gaza, so they're propping up a new group, a rival they hope will be better. There is certainly a chance to make this work. Arab countries and the US are looking for an alternative to the Hamas. The Popular Forces is one such alternative, one that is also acceptable to Israel. Plus, Hamas is losing support among Gazans. They were never very popular to begin with. But this endless war has only made things worse. Like I said, multiple gangs have popped up across Gaza. All of them have a score to settle with Hamas. If the Popular Forces can unite them, who knows? Maybe they can pull off a coup. But this plan carries risk for both sides. For Israel, the risk is obvious. Last time they tried something similar. They ended up creating Hamas.
Yeah, I mean, and now we got a whole bunch of gangs rising up out of there. Now we might have to deal with 4 people who are basically like Hamas. And then who's to say that these guys don't hate Israel as much as Hamas or at the same level? That's the problem with, funding these guys, because obviously they're funded, and by who knows? But their gear is very telling. The fact that they got this nice high gear stuff and Hamas is out here in rags and stuff, it's very telling.
What if they repeat that mistake again? What if this group, the Popular Forces, grows into another Hamas? That is a clear risk for Israel. For the Popular Forces, the risk is domestic. Israel has killed more than 55,000 civilians in Gaza, 55,000 civilians. Yes, Hamas is unpopular there, but Israel is public enemy number 1. So if Israel supports this group, if Israel supports the Popular Forces, will Gazans stand behind them? Or will they see this group as the enemy's puppet? Clearly, that's a concern already. As things stand, a lot depends on the ceasefire. There's a flurry of diplomacy happening. US President Donald Trump is hopeful of a ceasefire maybe this week or next.
Well, we're talking about Gaza for the most part. I think we have a chance this week or next week. Not definitely. There's nothing definite about war and Gaza and all of the other places that we all deal with so much.
A ceasefire would give Hamas some time, some breathing space to regroup and rebuild. If not, Israel will continue to pound them. And Hamas will keep losing leaders and firepower.
No, that's true, though. I mean, that is most definitely true. Like, they dwindled Hamas numbers low enough to where they're now okay with doing surgical strikes, which I wish that Israel would have done in the beginning to avoid all this useless, bloodshed of citizens. Then, like I said, nobody would be able to complain about that. Honestly, nobody would be able to complain on Israel if they did a surgical strike and not just bomb buildings. Like, let's be real.
We see something that never happened before.
Even if they did take out citizens.
Okay. Palestinians in Gaza are fighting Hamas. Palestinians in Gaza are defying Hamas. Palestinians in Gaza are saying, we don't want them. We don't want to be tyrannized and subjugated by these monsters. Well, that didn't happen before. And
here's the thing, though. I never heard Palestinians say that. That's what kills me. I hate when people's we're really the Israelis. They like to speak for, the Palestinians. They hate their leader. I know you say the same thing with Iran. You say the same thing with Yemen. You say the same thing with every Arab country you don't like. They don't like their leader. We need to free them. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not believing that no more. Unless I'm hearing the Palestinians say, down with Hamas, down with Hamas. I'll believe it then, but not coming out of, Bibi's mouth.
We think we can bring it to completion. So I wouldn't tell you that we have a war goal that is unachievable. Nobody believed we could do what we did to Iran. Nobody believed that President Trump and I would cooperate in this extraordinary way and get the full might of America, its extraordinary pilots,
I do hope it's true, though, because if they're able to stop Hamas, then Israel has no reason to attack. If they topple Hamas, that's it. That's the end of the war. So I hope that's the case, but they always do feed us a story going like, the people want them gone anyway. Like, we're actually helping these people out. And in actuality, they actually are okay with their leader. We put them in the leader they really hate, and then we get faced with a civil war later on down the line. I mean, we did it in Iran and that ain't work out so well. Like, trust me, guys, us inserting leaders never worked. We did it in Haiti. And look what happened in Haiti. Now they're eating each other. I mean, that was a pretty wild jump from having a leader. They rebel against the leader moves out, leader damn near runs off to Europe. And now the whole country's in anarchy. It's like, hey, this is what happens when you just insert rulers or insert government officials in countries that they didn't choose themselves.
Might have our brave soldiers, our brave pilots joined together, and look what we accomplished. So I tell you, it's not just a way of speaking, a manner of speaking. We're going to defeat these monsters, and we'll get our hostages back.
You mentioned President Trump. You have been prime minister through a lot of presidents: President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Biden, President Trump. Now, is it different for you personally? Is it different for Israel?
It's extraordinary. We've never had such a friend, such a supporter of Israel, the Jewish state, in the White House. President Trump has been, what can I tell you? Tremendous. I mean, and the cooperation is tremendous. Look at what our cooperation produces. Look at what happens when there's no daylight between an American president and an Israeli prime minister. We roll back the greatest threat to to both our countries. Iran is trying to build nuclear weapons. We stopped it in the nick of time. Those nuclear weapons were to be equipped on ballistic missiles that certainly wreak havoc in Israel now without nuclear weapons.
Really?
But they're aimed to be intercontinental ballistic missiles that could reach this city, this house, and New York, and Philadelphia, and Miami, and Mar-a-Lago. They actually put a price on President Trump's head and mine. You see this? This is what happened.
I mean, there's no proof of that, actually. There's no proof that Iran tried to put out a hit on Trump. It's just something that they keep on saying to rile up the public.
The last 2 days. And issued a religious fatwa, a decree that says that we have to be assassinated. These are enemies of the United States. Iran says death to America, death to Israel. America is the great Satan. Israel is a small Satan, but we stand in their way. They want to develop the means of.
Now, to give the Iranian perspective on that, now, during Tucker Carlson's interview with the Iranian president, he says that when the people of Iran say death to America, they are saying death to apartheid, death to proxy war, death to foreign influence. And since America does all that, death to America. Now, if you want to believe this, that's up to you. I do not blame you for believing that they believe death to all Americans. I don't blame you for thinking that. But coming from the Iranian president, I'm just telling you what that man said. And, well, he pretty much means death to America means death to all of the egregious things that we've done throughout time in the Middle East. And I can hear that out.
Mass death, atomic bombs, and the means to deliver them to every theater near you. That's what they're trying to do. And we stopped them. We rolled back this grave menace to our survival by a regime that has these monstrous proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah, whom we beat too.
And the Houthis.
And the Houthis, we haven't finished. We've got a job to do.
No, the Houthis.
But I can tell you that America started something.
Now, the Houthis is a different, bro. They have a different level of hatred for the Israelis. No, you think Iran does not hate Israel compared to the Houthis. These guys do anything in their power to make things tough for Israel. Anything. They don't care how petty it is. They'll do it. If it just stops them just by a smidge, they'll do it. They're petty. It's almost respectable, but the problem is there are problems too, and it kind of was causing problem with shipping routes, so they definitely need to be taken care of. The problem is, though, did us bombing the shit out of the Houthis really help since they're back to business as usual? Did we really do anything at that point? I'm confused.
We'll finish it, and I think the important thing is to understand that what we're doing is achieving a common doctrine that President Trump and I both hold to. It's called peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes the peace. And just as we cooperated on getting the Abraham Accords, peace between Israel and 4 Arab countries, now after the victory over Iran, we'll need to maintain that victory, prevent Iran from trying again to restart nuclear weapons from scratch, but we have to prevent them. But also move to realize the potential for peace in our region because of our victory, because of our strength. Peace through strength. There are several countries waiting in the wings. We're working on making those peace agreements possible.
Syria is a possibility, maybe. Syria, I mean, has Syria changed? Or is there a likelihood of that? I mean, that certainly has had a change since in the last 6 months.
Well,
yeah, we got the Russian-backed leader Assad out of there. And now we got, well, what was this guy? He's an ex-member of Al-Qaeda. Yes, we got an ex-member of Al-Qaeda now running Syria, and we done dropped the sanctions. We're cool, bro. Now, yeah, he's a cool guy. After he done ran Al-Qaeda for a little bit, he done jumped over to Syria, and now all of a sudden he's been washed of all his sins somehow, some way.
Syria and Lebanon were both governed basically by Iran and its proxies. Hafez Assad, a dictator, horrible dictator in Syria, and Hezbollah in Lebanon. We defeated Hezbollah. We eliminated Nasrallah, their murderous and fanatic leader.
See, now they said that they defeated Hezbollah, but then why did y'all use bunker bombs against Hezbollah? Then why'd you literally break the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel, and you went over there and bombed Hezbollah or Lebanon because Hezbollah was rebuilding their military underground base. Now, be honest with you, that's not a bad reason to attack them. I'll give it to them. I'm be real with you. If I was to figure that out and I was BB, I'd have been like, oh yeah, oh hell no. But he did break the ceasefire by doing that. And that probably be like the second to third ceasefire this man's broke.
That collapsed Lebanon and enabled a change of government for the first time in decades. And it also collapsed the Assad regime because Hezbollah was supporting Assad. It wasn't that there was a Syrian army. There wasn't. Every time Assad faced his enemies inside Syria and he was in distress, it wasn't his soldiers that were fighting. It was Hezbollah. Nasrallah would send thousands of Hezbollah fighters to rescue Assad. So when we took out Nasrallah, we actually collapsed the Assad regime. And that collapsed the Iranian noose of death around us. They had these proxies around us that were supposed to invade us simultaneously. And that didn't happen. So now they saw, okay, we can't eliminate Israel with the noose of death because we broke the axis of terror. So let's rush to nuclear weapons. That's why we had to act in time.
What took so long?
For them?
No, for you. I mean, this is not, it isn't like Israel.
Here's the problem. Iran has 60% uranium for a minute now. Enriched 60% uranium. They've been able to create a bomb for a while now. Problem is they haven't. And if Iran really wanted to attack us, they had a perfect 4-year window under Biden. And you're like, Seth, what do you mean? I'm like, think about it. The border was open. Just send an Iranian in with a backpack and a dirty bomb and go to a city and go to a major city and blow yourself up. And boom, a nuclear attack on United States ground. Now, would we ice them? Would we glass them overnight? Of course. But I'm just saying, though, if Hamas was just as not Hamas, but if Iran was as suicidal and as vicious as they say they are toward the United States, then why didn't they take that 4-year window to take a lot of us out? Honestly, they could have hit 4 major cities and it had just been, oh, well. And it had been because of Biden because, well, the border was open. And you don't think that there are already Iranians that went from Iran that came through our border? There are. I believe there are about 100,000 Iranians in here that made it through Biden's border. So who knows? But I'm just saying, if they wanted to do that, I mean, they had a smooth 4-year window they could have took advantage of.
Oh, got into a dangerous neighborhood on October 7th of 2023. I mean, this has been going on. The terrorism has been going on for an awful long time.
Well, it's not only the terrorism, it's a threat of annihilation. I've been speaking about
that's part of the charter of, the Hamas charter is the annihilation.
No, I wasn't talking about Hamas. Hamas is the proxy. Hamas is the cat's paw. Okay, you cut away the cat's paw, but there's still a cat. Yep. And the cat or tiger, it could devour you. It's Iran. You remember, there's one thing to understand, it's Iran. Oh, Iran wants to destroy it's Iran.
See, and it is funny, though, because they are surrounded by, Lebanon don't like them too much. Well, Lebanon don't like them too much. West Bank, I mean, they're slowly taking over the West Bank. Let's be real. They've damn near completely taken over West Bank, and they're about to finish off of Gaza. And then they got new settlements going on in with the Golan Heights, which is part of Lebanon. I think it's actually Syria, part of Syria that they took. So yeah, I mean, the only people that are really expanding their borders is Israel. But you know, they want to get this whole greater Israel off and take this whole little region right here for themselves, and prophecy shall be fulfilled.
Iran wants to destroy the United States. It's a cult, a death cult, and it says death to America. Israel's merely in their way, okay? They want to conquer the Middle East first. The only country that is fighting Iran in the Middle East is Israel, up to recently. The only country. We have to eliminate Israel. And in order to do that, they said we either do it through this noose of death or with atomic bombs. And for decades, you've heard me say this because we've known each other for many years. I said the greatest danger facing Israel and America is a fundamentalist Islamic regime with nuclear weapons, because they will be unlike other nuclear powers. They'll use it. And if they have the weapon to destroy Israel, they will. And if they have missiles to carry that weapon here, they will. Could they conceivably bomb American cities? And the answer is yes. That's not likely to happen with other nuclear powers in the world, but that is not true of these fanatics, okay? They see it as a...
Well, you've been saying that
Now, as much as we don't want Iran to have a bomb, we didn't push them towards a bomb most likely. And the reason I say that is because, well, we didn't introduce to the world a switch or a and B option here. We didn't introduce an A and B option to the world. It's either A, you have nukes and you got some respect on the global stage, or B, you have no nukes and you get bullied or pushed around by countries who do have nukes on the global stage. It's A or B. Who do you want to be? If you were a country, wouldn't you just rush towards nukes? Wouldn't you see how Iran got done? I mean, I'm surprised people didn't do it when Gaddafi got killed the way he did. So, yeah, I think we actually pushed Iran further towards a nuke, unless we're just about to topple the whole regime and just confirm that will never happen. But 9 times out of 10, no, not 9 times out of 10, I'll give it 60%, 60%. They may actually go towards that nuclear weapon because of our attack and because they feel like they can no longer trust us to negotiate in good faith.
Were you speaking before the UN a number of years ago? So you've been saying it for a year,
Yes,
year
and now
after,
what took it so long, right?
Yeah, what I mean, like, yes, was it that the world just wasn't behind you, or didn't feel the threat, or what was it? Well, you're still doing it alone, pretty much, with the United States.
It's worse. I mean, the world, many countries oppose us, including others who thought they could make a deal with Iran. There's one problem with that. They cheat, they lie, and they develop the weapons on the side. And
like
people are supposed to close up.
Hold on, bruh. I mean, BB, you can't get mad about a country that you don't like having a secret nuclear program when you yourself have a secret nuclear program. And here's the thing. We don't know if Iran got a nuke. We know you guys got nukes. We know for a fact you guys got a nuke. So it is pretty hypocritical to sit there and be like, well, they got a bomb and all this good stuff. Well, here's the thing. Iran knows that you hate them and they know you got a nuke. So why wouldn't Iran also arm themselves with one? How about this? Why don't y'all both disarm y'all nukes? Y'all both give up y'all nukes and let's see what happens after that.
Blind eye and allow them to do that while paving their way to a nuclear arsenal with billions and billions of dollars, which they use not to build Iran, not for the benefit of the great Iranian people whom they subjugate. They build terror axis with it. They build ballistic missiles to hit us and ultimately to hit you. So I think that was misconceived. And of course, I didn't get support. I got much opposition. And I had to also galvanize opposition within Israel, galvanize rather support within Israel, because people say, how do you hit Iran? Iran's a big country. I mean, it's a huge country. It's like 90 million people. It's like the size of a good chunk of Europe. It's big. It's got these lethal weapons that they can bomb our cities with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, you have to take out.
See, I never thought that way, because I mean, when you see the sophistication of Israel, like, look at the pagers. I mean, killing. I mean, that was.
No, I mean, like, bro, Israel definitely has a way more sophisticated army. It's just the sheer size of Iran. It's like they kind of need us to low-key do something there. If they was to go toe to toe with Iran on a battle of nutrition, like, Iran was definitely going to win that without American support. Now, with American support, I mean, I guess with American support, almost any war is winnable.
the sophisticated operation. I know that Israel's tiny and Iran is big, but not to make this sound like a game, but you so have outsmarted so many people over the years militarily and in wars that I never saw that as that the fact that it was big and you were little.
I'll be real with you. We can't say outsmarting when Israel just fakes a deal. Israel literally fake, like, all right, we can have a kumbaya moment. Look, all right, we'll get the Palestinians a two-state solution. We'll go ahead and disarm, but all right, peace in the Middle East. Then behind closed doors, they're like, yeah, we're about to bomb the shit out of them. But bro, we just talked about peace. Yeah, I know, but we're gonna bomb the crap out of them. Clean break initiative, baby. And that's what they went with.
Well, it's also the fact that when you're small, your size, we're bigger than Rhode Island. I can say that. But
it takes 6 minutes to fly across.
4
4
and a half.
I think you said 6 at the UN, because I remember you said 6 to fly. You said 6 to fly across the United States, 6 minutes across.
6 hours.
6 hours fly across the United States, 6 minutes to fly across.
Okay,
Israel is what you told me.
5 and 5.
5. Okay, good. Well, I'll go back and see who was right.
So Israel is the size of New Jersey. Okay, Israel is the size of New Jersey, and just imagine that somebody says we're going to drop atomic bombs on Newark or Hoboken or whatever. You're done. You're gone.
You'd be done.
Or we'll bombard you with 20,000 ballistic missiles, each with a ton of TNT. It's like a bus full of TNT comes down from the skies at Mach 8 times the speed of sound. That's terrible devastation. One is terrible devastation. 20,000, it's like 2 atomic bombs. So we could die this way or die that way. It's like having 2 lumps of cancer that are going to kill you. So we have to excise them in time.
Quite the way to put it.
Does that mean that the cancer can't come back? Of course it can, and you have to make sure it doesn't. But if you don't act, you'll be dead. That's why we acted. But we acted against this enemy. We had to organize ourselves, in a very sophisticated intel operation, cyber operation, air operation, and many other things that are combined in perhaps the most impressive use of wit and guts that we've seen in a long time. But we had a partner. We had a great partner. That's President Donald Trump.
People think news
Well, all right, then. That was a lot going on in there. But yeah, I would say this. When it came to that Iran fight, the Iran-Israel 12-day war, they was going blow for blow. Like, it's really hard to say who was winning. There was nobody winning. They were just both taking heavy damage in their capitals. Like, wild. And, heavy damage to military assets or military buildings and all that good stuff. So, like I said, they was going tit for tat when it came to that. All right, now let's go to France and UK agree on nuclear umbrella for Europe. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get right back into the geopolitical side of things. Well, I think we're kind of still sticking there.
Have you wondered how diplomacy looked in the 1800s? We did not have a lot of cameras then, so all we can do is imagine. Of course, there is another option. Just look at any state visit to the UK, because their traditions are still stuck there in the 1800s. This week, the UK is hosting French President Emmanuel Macron. The trip is coming after a long time. The last state visit by a French president to the UK was in the year 2008. After that, we had the Brexit fiasco. So this trip is all about a reset, which is why London dusted out its old relics. I'm talking about the royals. Macron was welcomed at Windsor Castle by King Charles. It had everything you would expect, from horse-drawn carriages to royal bands. Take a look at this.
All right, now, guys, before we get into that a little bit any further, I do want to go ahead and sneak peek this Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes interview. Now, I do have the full interview, but let's go ahead and react to this 5-minute clip, because I believe this is probably one of the more controversial conversations, because Nick Fuentes, he's that guy that pretty much says that, he goes off a study that pretty much calls African people retarded. Like, pretty much.
So I'm trying to understand if you think that it's all Black people are like this, or if your world is kind of colored by, this is what's going on in America. This has failed for 1,000 reasons. Welfarism has definitely, Black people in 1940s, stand up. My grandfather, I talk about that denigration and the corrosion of culture. Yeah. That's happening. White, Black, whatever you want to name it. There is this intentional corrosion of culture. So do you think it's literally, well, this is just what a Black person is when they come out? Or do you think that post welfare, LBJ, Great Society, this is what Black Americans have become, and I have a right to respond to that and say that as a white man, I don't want to live there?
Well, I think it's more nature than people would like to believe. There's this classic tension of, is it nature, is it nurture, is it cultural, or is it intrinsic, is it racial? And I've
Environmental.
always been on the latter side of this among conservatives. Conservatives like to say it's all culture. Black America is the way it is because of hip hop music and the Great Society and that kind of stuff. And I think the uncomfortable reality is a big part of it is intrinsic. One of the big arguments against the abolition of slavery in the 1860s is that, when Europeans colonized Africa, they hadn't discovered the wheel. There's no two-story buildings.
Actually, in North Africa and West Africa, the wheel was discovered. In the sub-Saharan Africa, they didn't. Well, a wheel would have been pretty damn useless in that terrain. I'll tell you that right now. The problem with Nick Fuentes is that when it comes to his political knowledge, top notch. When it comes to his knowledge on Africa, I almost want something like, bro, shut up and go read a book, please. Like, you do not know enough about Africa to be making that type of claim. Oh, they didn't even have the wheel. And then when you bring up like places like Egypt, well, they weren't all Black. Bro, it was Arabs, Blacks, and whites in Egypt. Mainly Arabs and Blacks. So yes, you got to give us credit on that as well.
There's no writing. There's no written language. Missionaries had to go to Africa in the last century and invent it for the African people because there's no recorded history. They didn't have writing.
But we did have writing, and not just in Egypt, in West Africa, and in the sub-Sahara. I mean, even in the most wildest parts of Africa, they had a writing system. Now, I'm not saying all of them did. They had oral traditions and they had language. But to sit there and say that, oh, well, white people gave them a writing system is crazy because, like, most of Africa ain't using an English writing system. Let's be real. Wild.
So Egypt is not in Africa.
Well, Egypt is a different race. The Egyptians were not Black.
Okay, but you said when they went.
But they were actually. There were actually like skin tones of Egyptians. There were brown Egyptians. There was dark-skinned Egyptians. I mean, you could actually look at the hieroglyphics, and even the Egyptians stated that there were multiple colors in Egypt or multiple shades. Like they even had white people depicted in the hieroglyphics, and very, very dark-skinned people and light-skinned people. So obviously, Egyptians kind of knew what it was when it came to skin tone and all that good stuff and race. So you to sit here and try to just say, oh well, Egypt was just actually a bunch of white people and light skins and Arabs and. Well, Cleopatra wasn't really Black, which she wasn't. That's true. But hey,
to Africa. So I just want to.
The interior of Africa in the late 19th century. Scrambled for Africa.
So we're now knocking Egypt out of Africa.
Yeah.
Well, Egypt is part of northern Africa, sub-Saharan Africa.
I said Africa. So I'm being.
It's Africa. And there's other northern countries in Africa that also advanced and got a will and had their own writing system. And here's the thing. What scares me about Nick Fuentes, a lot of people go off this argument. And I already know the study that he's going off of, and the study he's going off of has been debunked. It has actually been debunked, and it was done by a racist being paid by, eugenics corporation or eugenics PACs. Yes, PACs that pretty much sponsor the research of eugenics and pretty much trying to get any study that proved that white people are the superior race. Well, it is what it is.
But it's not. I'm not trying to get a gotcha. I'm just responding. You're saying Africa.
Sure. Yeah.
It's in Africa. It's Egypt. It's kind of ridiculous to say there was no written language.
Well,
so I'm just trying to get you to.
It's wild.
Sure. Egyptians are not Africans.
If I'm not pushing back, the internet will.
That's like saying there wasn't seasoning until Black people pulled up. Like, bro, what?
Egyptians are not racial Africans. When I say African, I'm saying sub-Saharan Africans.
Sub-Saharan, okay.
Black people because it is a different race. In sub-Saharan Africa, and Europeans did not penetrate that until late 19th century. They didn't have any of this. To the extent that you have infrastructure in Africa.
They had written word. Now, they didn't have a wheel because sub-Saharan terrain, a wheel wouldn't even work out. So we can't blame them for not having a wheel, but they definitely had their own language and writing system, and they definitely had civilization down there. So I'm a bit confused on where this is coming from.
Africa is from the Muslims in the Sahel and the Maghreb in northern Africa, where the Arabs colonized. And then you had, Carthage and Egypt. You had ancient civilizations, but sub-Saharan Africa, they didn't have that. You take these people out of that land and put them here, and they're enslaved people. You let them free in a modern, liberal republic. They're not going to succeed. It's not going to go well for them. And that was one of the arguments against abolition. People said if you
because people were arguing that, oh, well, white people have higher IQs, but then when you do studies throughout history, we find out that no, this is an environmental type of thing, an environmental and nutrition. It's environmental and nutrition that determines your IQ. Of course, genetics, but how far your IQ goes, you can have good genetics and have a bad IQ if you're in a terrible environment and you're not getting the proper nutrition in your body. No matter how smart your parents are, your IQ will falter under those two conditions. So it has nothing to do with race.
Free them without any assimilation, without any kind of process for them to be acclimated, they're going to die. And that's exactly what happened. Many of like the bottom 10% of like the lowest IQ Africans just died off for generations. And it had a, pardon the expression, but it had a eugenic effect because over time, if the weakest are dying off, that's one argument for why blacks in America have a standard deviation higher IQ than the blacks in sub-Saharan Africa. So, so I do believe there is something intrinsic going on there. And
it could be because we come from a real civilized, like I said, it's our environment and our nutrition. And in here in America, we do have a superb environment, even in the hood, trust me, our hoods is better than most African countries most of the time. I'll tell you that right now. And the fact that we got, of course, nutrition, even if it's bad nutrition, we got more nutrition than most African countries. So, of course.
What makes people uncomfortable about this is the idea that it's unchangeable. There's something about, and this is why I'm a Catholic, we do have an inherent desire for universalism. We do believe that there's a common humanity and a common human community and all of that. We hate the idea that we're born a certain way and we can never change. And that's just the way it is. And we even think about this in terms of, it's become not so popular these days to tell children, you can be whatever you want to be. Because we know that's not the case. Some people are tall, some people are short, some people are smart, some dumb, some ugly, some handsome. That's why, by the way, incel dumb is a big part of this also.
So you believe these are immutable characteristics that are assigned at birth?
I think that, yes.
For the most part.
Things like race, all those attributes are immutable and unchangeable. And
but they have changed. Just factually speaking, they have changed.
Yeah.
They change over.
That's how you know it's not a race thing, because it has changed. You put us in a different environment, and now we got more access to food and nutrition and all that good stuff. Yeah, IQ is going to raise. Health standards are going to raise. I'm not sure why he's trying to make this about a whole white and black thing when we could just say, thank God we're in a prosperous country to where we could have such bright individuals.
For time over the generations.
Okay, so then you don't think it's immutable, because if this was an immutable
individual person.
Okay, so you're saying that if you are born at this space and time as a black person in America, here is the cards that you're dealt with, and you can't change that over time.
Something like IQ does not change. No, doesn't change wildly. It only changes genetically over. IQ is a big one, and that changes. That's a genetic trait. And so that can change over the generations, but not, you can't take an individual that's 75 IQ, which is the average in West Africa, and take them to 100.
So two dumb people can't produce a smart person.
I believe they can, actually.
Yeah.
But
so does that kind of debunk your?
No, because it's rare that happens, but IQ is a heritable trait. So it's unlikely that happens.
No, IQ is not a heritable trait. It was actually debunked a while ago. And I'll actually even tell you the people who, let's see here. So the early studies that claim to measure IQ difference between races, particularly the so-called IQ of African countries or black people globally, often relied on highly flawed or controversial methods. Here's how they typically approached it and why it's problematic. Source of IQ data from African countries. Direct IQ tests in some countries. In few African nations, actual IQ were administered too small. So pretty much they took a small group of Africans, tested them, and said, all right, well, you guys represent the entire IQ of your entire nation. So they say they could have took some of the dumbest Nigerians or guys from Chad, IQ test them and been like, yeah, that's you guys right here. And then they did even something worse. Instead of actually going to other countries to test their kids out, they say, you know what? This country's pretty bad, so I'm assuming that all the other countries around it also have a low IQ as well. And that's literally how that study was carried out, and that's why it is called a flawed study. That is tough. That is tough. So that's the, and here's the thing, like I said, I do like Nick Fuentes, but every time he speaks on Africa and the history of Africa, I'm like, dog, you can talk all the shit you want about black people. That don't really hurt my feelings, to be honest with you. It don't. But when you sit here and talk about African heritage as if you know something and you know nothing at all, it's like, bro, and you're really basing your whole theory off this of why black people have low IQs and white people have higher. You're basing your whole theory off this study that's highly flawed. Is scary. I'll tell you that right now. I'm like, there's a whole bunch of 45-year-old men out there on the internet who believe this. It is what it is. And let's just say I'm ready for the debate any day. But all right, guys, let's get into our Brett Cooper. She ain't been around a minute since the Daily Wire kind of, I guess, got rid of her. But hey, she's back.
Media is angry at me because I want you guys. So the mainstream media is angry at me because I want you guys to be thin and fertile, and the fact that I like pop culture, and I am not apologizing for.
Oh, I like people who just speak their mind candidly. I don't like, bro. It takes real cojones to sit there and really speak what you feel or really say what you mean. A lot of people ain't like that, and he's saying it with his face on the screen. Respect. I don't even care if I disagree with you. I'm gonna respect you just because you were out here showing your face on stream. You're not hiding behind no faceless account. And you show me that you about it by saying it out loud. You ain't hiding. It's respectable, even if I disagree with everything he says, which I don't. But when it comes to that whole race and IQ thing, I disagree with everything. But politics, me and him agree on a lot.
Or any of it. Epstein may or may not have killed himself, and Carnival Cruises have decided that they no longer want to be the Spirit Airlines of the sea. Let's get into it. So in keeping with all the personal updates, I really have nothing to share in regards to the animals and my mom's move. Everything has been relatively calm.
This is basically racist. So basically you're saying that, one, black people don't read, black people aren't educated. The average black person in America only verbally says 120 different words in their lifetime. Like, bro, you know how dumb you sound saying that? Like, so what if you read a book? What if they go ahead and read a book? I mean, what about all the textbooks they read when they were first grade all the way up to 6? I'm pretty sure you done looked over 100 or said over 120 words within that time frame. You dumbass. I ain't gonna lie. People like you are the true dumbasses out here in the world. Goodbye, my friend.
We have not had any Alex and sheep chases at 3 a.m. for the last week, which has been great. I definitely have popped more in the last week, so it literally looks like I have swallowed a basketball. Like I am perfectly round everywhere. Like I'm just like waddling around like a little like bowling ball human being. So that has been very fun. We are doing 2 shows in Nashville over the next month because I don't want to get on a plane anymore, but I felt bad because we did nothing in Nashville. So we have those dates at brettcooper.com. I am doing my last bit of traveling this week though, and I will be at a Turning Point event this weekend. What else do I have to share? Alex is sick right now, which means that he is like walking around with the man flu, acting like he is dying. He looks like a zombie. I was laughing with my manager earlier because I walked in yesterday, guys, and he was sitting on our couch just staring into the void. And I thought that he was watching Lord of the Rings, but he was not. He had just pulled up a YouTube like video compilation of like Hobbit music, like Lord of the Rings style music, and it just had like AI population.
Hey, nah, shout out Just Plain Dave. I ain't gonna lie. He's like, what an idiot. All right, where are the studies of poor white people? I mean, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, why would we even want to get into this debate? Because it just sounds like you're looking for a reason to be better than the other. And that's real racism. Now, is Nick Fuentes a racist? Of course he is. Yeah, of course he is. Do I mind that? Not so much. I'll be real with you. You being a racist, I'm not too mad about that. I really honestly don't care. You ain't doing nothing to me. But yeah, but that's the thing about racism. You look for any reason to put yourself above another group of people. You're a racist. If you look for any reason to try to put yourself above another group of people just because you're white, just because you're black, just because you're Asian, you're a racist.
Photos of like little Hobbit things, and he was just sitting there like watching on our huge TV. So that is how everything is going in our house, which honestly,
and no, making jokes is not, no, we make jokes. Racist jokes is different from being racist. I'll tell you that.
Sounds a lot better than what is going on in the world right now. But before we get into that, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to our channel if you have not already. And of course, ring that notification bell so you always stay up to date on all of our uploads. That helps us out so much in the algorithm. And if you want to stay up to date on all of the live events and all things Brett Cooper, make sure to go to brettcooper.com. All right, so I think you guys know this about me by now, but I rarely respond to hate or criticism. Like if there's a hit piece about me or anything like that, like I usually stay silent. I usually let it wash over. Like I would rather not give it any attention. But
Yeah, I kind of have the same stance. I've had people make hit pieces about me, and I don't respond. I mean, trust me, I got enough people in my life to respond to that don't like me or what I say too much. So, I mean, what the hell I look like going out searching for the beef when the beef comes to me?
There is a specific something that has been going on in the mainstream media right now. Like the same type of article just keeps being written time and time again, and I just keep being included. So I thought that we should talk about it because these hit pieces just keep coming. And the first one actually came out back in April. But again, like I said, I don't usually talk about these, but this headline cracked me up. It says, "The Rise of the Woman Sphere. Brett Cooper, Candace Owens influencing young women to be thin, fertile, and Republican." Like, guys, that's basically a backhanded compliment. You're so angry that I want young women to be thin and fertile. Like, I'm sorry, that's hot.
I mean, the way she said it, though, like, I'm sorry, but that is hot. Like, no, she ain't lying, though. She ain't lying. It is hot. Like, hey, if a woman's thin and in shape, I mean, or she's just in shape in general, all right, this is pretty attractive. But it's wild how women will try to call you a misogynist for that.
That's just like objectively a good thing. Who would not want to be thin and fertile? Like, that's healthy. That's amazing. Like, you guys hate us so much. You hate my values and the way I vote and who I am so much that you would rather die on the hill of being fat and infertile. Like, that's really how you want to go down. Like, I'm so glad that you have put that all out there. I'm so glad that you are saying the quiet part out loud. But guys, the articles did not stop there because more and more keep coming out with the same sentiment. Because here's another one that came out recently that is also from The Guardian. Apparently The Guardian got their talking points this spring, but this headline reads, "The woman's sphere is the latest cultural propaganda assault on young womanhood. Will it work?" And then most recently, just 2 weeks ago, this one was from CNN, how a new wave of conservative influencers and magazines is—
Well, who's the female Andrew Tate? What was it, Candace or something? Like I'm just going off of, what all girls would want to mimic, like, or all young ladies would like to mimic, would be probably somebody like Candace. I could have her nice little career on the side, have her multimillionaire husband and kids, and live her happy life. I mean, I don't know, shoot, Candace might be the Andrew Tate of women.
courting young women with lifestyle and celebrity content. Oh no, guys, the propaganda assault. We're courting you all with lifestyle and celebrity content. Now, the thing that cracks me up about all of these pieces is that they are so appalled by the fact that me and other content creators like myself, that we talk about things other than politics. Like we talk about things that relate to pop culture and celebrity and lifestyle and health, whatever it is, like whatever it
No, I wouldn't be part of the problem. I make fair assessments on both sides, but I mean, you don't really come here enough to actually see that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put you in timeout so you can sit back and think about what you said and actually listen to people. It's kind of funny how people come in here thinking that they know what I'm going to say or thinking that they know the show. It's like, sorry, my friend, your first time here. You don't.
interests us, we talk about. But the fact that people like me would identify as being conservative makes it so appalling that we would step outside of our lane when literally that is what they have been doing for years. And what is hilarious in that CNN article is that they interviewed a bunch of women at the top of the piece who were interacting with EV magazine content on social media. So they would say like, oh, you know, I agreed with their take on X, Y, and Z, and I thought that they had a funny post about this celebrity thing. And then I looked at their page and I was horrified because I saw Trump, I saw right-wing content, and I could not believe that this was on my algorithm. I could not believe that I had been bamboozled by these right-wing content creators. They literally said, I found what they posted to be hateful and trying to trick people into reading their views. Okay, God forbid you have to interact with something that maybe is not perfectly aligned with your worldview. Like EV Magazine is not trying to trick you. Sorry. Their content actually is not all about you. It's for their readers who, shockingly, are interested in things other than just Donald Trump and conservative politics. Their viewers and their readers are also interested in Johnny Depp, in Blake Lively, in Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner, and what that means for celebrity relationships. Like, they are women who are interested in female things. That is not an attack on you. Like, literally, the world does not revolve around you, and not everything has to succumb to your worldview. And also, this is just so funny because how do you think we all felt When we spent years reading Teen Vogue magazine or 17 or Cosmopolitan, just wanting to read about some celebrity gossip or, figure out the nail color of the season, and suddenly we were assaulted by, as you want to say, propaganda of gender and sexual identity and hit pieces on Trump when literally we were just trying to read about some celebrity that was in the news. Like, isn't that basically the same thing? And you guys obviously totally stand behind those publications and that kind of journalism, but when we do it, then it's a problem. You guys laid the groundwork. You laid out the formula, and magazines like Evie are simply.
Actually, I want to hear y'all out. Well, what's y'all beef with conservatives? Please let me know. What is y'all beef with conservatives without bringing up your hatred of Donald Trump? Try to separate the conservative and Donald Trump and see if you're still able to hate him. I just want to know, like, what is really the deal with you guys? And I know somebody was like, "Oh, you say you don't talk politics." So I'm like, lady. You're on a political episode. Stop crying. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. I swear, I'm so happy I'm not a left-wing commentator, bro, because there is no making the left happy. You guys just cry about everything.
Following suit. Like, I'm sorry, maybe it's just the Libra in me, but the scales are officially balanced as balance of nature supplements. Now, as you guys know, I am always looking for new ways to stay on track of my wellness goals, and Balance of Nature always makes it easy. Their supplements are made with ingredients like whole apples, spinach, mango, and turmeric, real foods that I actually recognize. And I love how convenient it is to add more fruits, veggies, and spices to my.
All right, now, somebody says conservatives can be shallow. You know what? When it comes to conservatives and liberals on dating and all that good stuff and family, I'll be real with you. The conservatives kind of got what most people would want. Like liberals, I'm not sure what you guys want. You guys want a hoe phase? You guys want people to have multiple partners? You want everybody to be gay? I'm not sure what it is, but I know y'all don't really support the heterosexual family too much. That's not really y'all thing.
About in regards to.
Not all of y'all, but let's be real though. If you look at y'all rhetoric, come on now.
To me was also the fact that I would cover pop culture, because in their minds, me talking about celebrity things or JoJo Siwa or what's going on in Hollywood XYZ is my way of like ensnaring young women. Like, I'm sorry, but sometimes objectively, I am just more interested in JoJo Siwa and her new relationship and the fact that she looks healthy and happy and is no longer humping a beach in her music video than I am in what bill Congress is trying to pass. I'm a 23-year-old woman. A lot of times I would rather log off of X and go watch a reality show. That does not make me evil. This is not part of some master plan.
No, this makes you a woman. That's all. I mean, I know a lot of girls like that. It's like, yeah, she ain't too different. But it's a blessing. What can I say? It's a blessing. But all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and close it out on this one, man. I appreciate the support, guys. Make sure you double tap that screen, subscribe to the channel, make sure to turn on the notification, and I'll be back with you guys tomorrow around the same time. Appreciate the support, guys. This is Set with Set Media. You guys be safe out there. Have a good morning. Have a great weekend. And God, guys, today modern AI is quite advanced, except two problems. It is censored and it takes your information. Well, it's hard to find a tech company that don't. But let me introduce you to one. Shout out to my sponsor, Venice AI, which allows you to protect your information and avoid censorship. Now ask yourself, why should a team of programmers at these leading AI apps be the ones to decide what is okay for you to ask and think? Also, would you be comfortable if the presidential administration could govern what AI tells you? Man, I know I wouldn't. But also, while you think about that, did you know that, let me tell you this, it's gonna be crazy, but ChatGPT has a former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now, guys. And shout out to that man, Edward Snowden. He called this a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. And we all know how Alexa is. Alexa listens to us and recommends products based on our conversations. I mean, talk about a violation of privacy. But guys, these are just a few reasons I decided to team up with Venice AI and get you a better options or solutions to your AI needs. Now, guys, you can go ahead and check these guys out with my promo code. So shout out to Venice AI. Now, if you want to use AI without fear of handing over your most intimate thoughts to a corporation or government, you can get 20% off a pro plan using my link, Venice AI SET, and use the code SET. Man, so shout out, guys. So make sure you guys use the code. Put it up one more time for you guys. Right there. Once again, guys want to go ahead and have unleashed AI, uncensored AI. Go ahead and tap in with my guys at Venice AI, guys. Hey, this is S.E.T and appreciate the support. And shout out to the sponsor.